Welcome to Ramona High School. It is a special Saturday night edition of the CIF High School Game of the Week. The Bears of Poly hosting the Wolves of Martin Luther King High. My name's Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham alongside. The 13th meeting between these two teams on Rivalry Sunday. Jeff, Martin Luther King has won the last 3 games of the series. What do the Bears have to do to turn that around tonight?
Well, there is an improvement, and we've seen Coach DeWitt. He's made improvement his last 2 seasons. His 3rd season, he's brought in Bill Powell and John Rice, legendary coaches in the area, and they're going to help this program succeed and have a shot to win tonight.
These two schools separated by 100 years. Riverside Poly opened in 1897. It's the oldest school in the Riverside Unified School District. King opened in 1999. I don't know if Prince was around to sing at the opening, but they've been around since then. Also the Wolves, they come in 0-3 under head coach Pat McCarthy. The defense has been all right. They've struggled to score points. How do they put points on the board tonight against the Bears?
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach McCarthy, this is his first year really at the helm for the Poly Bears. Last year had heart problems. It was coached by committee. This year he's taken over the offense. His son is on the defense, and I think I see good things in their future.
It's the Bears and the Wolves coming up next. The CIF on Riverside TV. Well, Rivalry Saturday here. There was a great setup outside. The atmosphere is palpable here. You got the Bears and the Wolves. It's interesting because not a long-standing rivalry. You get a look at some of the festivities going on outside of Ramona High School here. First meeting back in 2004. And earlier before the game, we had both principals going at it in a tug of war out front. They had an old wooden propeller going. And they were trying to tug it back and forth in a little symbolic gesture.
Well, here is the deal. We have a name for the propeller. Guess what they're going to call it?
The propeller.
Battle.
Oh.
The battle for the blade.
The blade, okay.
So that was what the athletic director, Chip George at Martin Luther King High School, said, hey, what should we call it? He goes, it's a propeller, a blade. I said, Battle of the Blade. So there it is. It has started here, and that's what they're playing for.
All right, the matter at hand, neither of these teams has a win on the season. What better way to do it against a rival? We always talk about how in a rivalry game, the records almost don't matter. Here, though, it matters because what better way to get your first win than against your crosstown rival, Jeff?
Oh, it's going to be great. I'll tell you, these two teams, even though they're not too far apart, but I don't think there's a whole lot of love here between the two. And it, like you said, to get your first win against your biggest rival, nothing better than that. And these guys will talk about it for years and years and years.
Maybe some added incentive for Poly in that King has won the last 3 games of this series. The last win for Poly came back in 2014 here on this field.
So we could have deja vu all over again. Hey, last night we had a great game between Ramona High School and the Arlington Lions. Tonight, the second part of that rivalry week. This is going to be a fun one, I believe.
Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you, along with our award-winning Riverside TV crew. The Wolves ready to kick it off, and Poly will get the ball first. Back deep to receive for the Bears will be Josiah Harrison and Jerry Sandifer. Teeing it up for King is Chris Anklem. Got a chance to chat with both coaches before the game. Pat McCarthy, the head coach at King, and Derek DeWitt, the head coach at Poly. The Wolves in red, Poly in the home whites. Meeting number 13, 7-5. King holds the series lead, and mentioned earlier they have won the last 3 games in a row. Poly would love to bring that win streak to an end, and Anklem will kick it, angling it slightly to the left side. It'll be fielded by Harrison. No, instead that's Green bringing it up to the 20-yard line. So that's where Poly will start at 11:50 to play in the first quarter from the 20-yard line. They'll run their offense out there. Starting quarterback is Bud Burney. Burney had a good year, developed last year, took the starting job as a sophomore. He is a junior. Joined in the backfield by the running back Jermaine Henderson and Jerry Sandifer. The leading receiver from last year will be split out. Split out to the top of your screen is Noah Griffiths. We'll talk more about him later. And the give to Harrison, who's been banged up in the middle of that King defense. He'll fall forward for 2 yards.
You talked about Bud Burney. Bud Burney is one of those super athletes on campus for Riverside. Poly plays a very good basketball player, great outside shooter, and he is a leader because of that, because he leads the basketball team and now leads the football team.
Up front defensively for King, Jason Cobbs, a junior at one end. In the middle is Jordan Parrott. He's also a senior. And then on the other end is the two-way player, the tight end and defensive end, Joseph Ryan, a 3-4 look for King. Harrison again. And this time he'll be flung down. Ryan makes the tackle at about the 26-yard line. That's 4 more yards for Harrison. It'll bring up a 3rd and 4. Couple of changes we had early. You look at Tyndall, Mladenovic, McMurray, Meza, Kaufman, Anderson, Kyles rounding out the secondary. Both Coach McCarthy and Coach DeWitt had some injury issues they were dealing with. In fact, we weren't really sure if Henderson was going to go, but he's in there to start it here, 3rd down. Burney, turn and give, and a 1st down and more for Henderson, and he's brought down by Ethan DeGennaro at about the 34-yard line. So a 1st down, they'll move the sticks up.
Our first good look at Jermaine Henderson here. Cuts inside, sees the hole. You can see he has breakaway speed. Got to keep an eye on that young man throughout this ball game.
Sergio Montanaro leading the way, and that had a key block there to give him some extra space. You know, both these teams had given up a lot of points. So interesting to see. Well, actually, King hadn't. Poly has. Poly looked like they're playing a little ball control early, Jeff.
Yeah, they're going to play smash mouth football. They're going to test this King secondary and that offense or defensive line. 1st
and 10 from the 34. Henderson looks like he's got another 1st down. Steps out of bounds around the 45-yard line. They'll mark it just inside. The sticks will move up yet again.
Well, it looks like we're going to be saying his name quite a bit. Jermaine Henderson showing here early.
Henderson last week, 12 carries, 110 yards, didn't finish the game. He was hurt, didn't even finish the game in the second half, and had well over 100 yards. 1st down from the 45-yard line. 55 yards to pay dirt. It's been all Jermaine Henderson on this drive for Poly. 1st and 10 Bears. Henderson gets spun down at about the 45-yard line. First man to him for King was Gavin Castleman, the senior defensive end. So we were incorrect. It was actually a 2nd down, and he got the 1st over the 45. And now it's a 1st and 10 from just over the 45-yard line for King, under 9 minutes to play. Still first quarter, 2-back set with Burney. Sandifer split out to the near side for Poly, and the ball's on the turf, but Henderson will dive on it. It'll roll ahead for maybe a yard or 2.
Kind of a lucky bounce there. Gets on the floor. Didn't go backwards. Got a couple yards out of it.
6 straight handoffs to Jermaine Henderson for 27 yards. It'll be 2nd and 8. Ball sitting just outside the 48 for Poly. Griffith to the top of your screen. Sandifer split out wide to the bottom of the screen. Henderson up the middle. Henderson dragging tacklers with him. He'll cross over to the 45-yard line on the King side of the field. Another 9 yards there for Henderson.
Henderson moving the ball here really well early. Looks like he's going to move the sticks a few times just by himself.
Maybe Ken Batdorf has possessed Derek DeWitt. This is looking very much like a Novi offense. They're giving it to the one guy in the backfield.
The ground and pound. Looks a little bit like the double wing as we've seen for the last 25 years at North Vista High School.
3rd and short. Here's the give. 1st down and more for Henderson. Not quite to the open field, but he'll get about 15 yards down to the 30-yard line. So Henderson, with 8 straight carries, has pounded out 51 yards on a drive that started back on the 20-yard line for Poly.
Right now, he looks like a man playing against a young flag football team. He is running right through these guys. He has been a dynamo and a highlight so far for the Poly Bears.
Trips to the near side from left to right for Poly. Ethan LaMontagne, Steve Carpentiero, and Jerry Sandiford at the bottom of your screen. To the top of the screen is Noah Griffiths. A warning to the King sideline, it looked like. Flag came out. No penalty.
We're seeing a lot of different sets here from Poly early.
There's the give. Henderson again sloshing left. Puts his shoulder down. Runs through the tackler who brings him down, Dylan Kelly. And he's to the 22-yard line. Another healthy run on first down for Jermaine Henderson.
A lot of different sets. Same result. Hand off to Henderson. House left this time.
And again, Derek DeWitt, his offensive coordinator, Bill Powell in the booth to our right, playing that ball control here early. They've chewed up about 5 minutes thus far. It's a 2nd and short. They've had a number of those. And Tim Watt, who's our referee, I think he's going to send a player off for an equipment issue. That's Tony Avayes Jr., one of the wide receivers. Big fella. Tall drink of water, 6'4", 6'5". Replacing him is Alandi Telemacu. So Telemac, the tight end, will line up on the right side. On the field as well, Stephen Carpentiero. He's split out to the near side. First down to the 20, so give it 1.5 yards. Bernie, Henderson. Henderson stopped his first way. Will try the right side entrance and just short of the first down. DeGennaro had his nose around there and Joe Ryan came over top. So it'll be a 3rd down and short just outside the 21-yard line.
Now we're seeing King kind of funnel that offense right to the center of the field here. Poly has yet to throw a pass.
Puts his foot in the ground, tied to pivot. Ran into his own man, actually. That was Camden Carmen trying to clear some space, and Henderson had to bounce around him. 3rd and short. Bernie, short pass underneath is complete to Carmen. Carmen down inside the 10 to the 9-yard line for a first down.
And they're going to move the sticks again. Looks like it was a personal foul as Bud Bernie was hit in the backfield.
So Carmen with an 11-yard reception, the first completion of the game for Bernie. 11 plays on this drive. Started with 11 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the first quarter. We're down under 5 minutes. So a 7-minute drive. First and goal from the 9. Actually, instead, they're going to mark it at this. Oh, with the penalty, it'll go halfway. So the penalty will put the ball inside the 5-yard line to the 4. So the penalty charge to King will be a 5-yarder. Personal foul and first and goal. Jumbo backfield for Poly. They give it to the first man through. The ball's on the turf. Jalen Keaton had come in as a fullback, and the ball on the turf. King saying they have it. No indication from the official as of yet. And it looks like it's going to stay with Poly. A loss back to the 6-yard line.
Just a missed handoff there from Bernie. Looks like
Rubin fell on it. Nice job, Johnny, on the spot. The fullback, well, one of the fullbacks, Isaac Rubin, recovered the fumble.
Yeah, it looks like Jacob Reed bounced off of his knee as they were going for the handoff.
Alberto at left tackle, Jacob Reed was the guard. 2nd down and goal. Flag comes out. So a delay of game on Poly, and the ball will be marched back 5 yards. So we're back to the 11-yard line where it'll remain 2nd and goal for Poly. No score here. Long sustained drive for the Bears. This will be play number 13.
I want to say last week, didn't John Rice tell us prior, they had a 19-play drive versus Bonita.
Second and goal. Here's Bernie rolling right. He'll weave up inside, spins through a tackle, then he gets lit up. That was Ethan DeGeneiro making the tackle at the 9-yard line. He kind of spun around the tackler underneath him, Jordan Parrott, but DeGeneiro there to clean it up after a couple of yards for Bernie.
You see Bernie as he rolls out to the right, sees move, he makes a good spin move, and as soon as he turns, whack, takes a shot right to the chest.
So third and goal, big play coming up for Poly. Sandifer at the bottom of the screen. 3 receivers stacked at the top of the screen. Now, Ovalles will switch places with Sandifer. Griffiths to the top of the screen. The nearest to the line is Ethan LaMontagne. Excuse me. And timeout, Poly. First timeout used by the Bears. 2:52 to play. They've chewed up nearly all the first quarter, Jeff.
Yeah, if you can do that and score, even if it's a field goal, and you play pretty solid defense, hey, I'd say 4 drives, 4 quarters, you might win the ball game.
We got a quick drive recap here, and it's really been pretty much exclusively Jermaine Henderson. He's carried the freight, Jeff. He has 10 carries on this drive for 60 yards. And, you know, sometimes in football you don't want to tip off your tendencies, but when it's broke, don't fix it sometimes. And I think towards the end of the drive, perhaps Poly tried to get a little bit cute when Henderson was working. You obviously don't want to go to the well one too many times, but right now it's a key situation here at third and goal.
Well, they've been successful. They were running off tackle here this first drive. Like you said, very reminiscent of the double wing offense.
You know, Bill Powell next to us. He's a KG Riverboat Gambler, the former head coach at San Jacinto. He's running the offense this year for Derek DeWitt.
And I must say, he's a fabulous baker. I'll tell you that later.
Yeah, we'll get more to that. We'll get more on that later because he is. It sounds bad, but it's really not. Third and goal from the 9. Bernie, option. Here's Jermaine Henderson trying for the pylon. Around the corner, and he's in. Touchdown. Poly on the board first.
Boy, I am really, really impressed with this young running back, Jermaine Henderson. I'll tell you what, he got to the outside there, scored the touchdown, and landed right on the track. He is showing how fast he is. He's right at the starting line of the 100-yard dash there here at Ramona High School. Put him on the track team. He's a stud.
14-play drive, 80 yards. How about this, Jeff? 9 minutes and 4 seconds.
Not a bad drive.
The PAT is up, and it is good. 7-0 Poly to open this one. Get another look at the run by Henderson. Just gets to the outside and definitely like a dancer, tiptoes inside the pylon without touching it. That's like those games the kids play when you take them to the arcade. They have the light, and they have to step around like the light, lights that shoot out. I'm sure Fast Johnny loves that game.
Oh, my kids love it. We were just at John's Incredible Pizza last week, and they were playing all of those fun games. But he landed right on the lane 1 of the track. He was ready to go.
Ronnie Kaufman deep for King along with Nate Hernandez. Hernandez has been hurt, and Coach McCarthy was telling me they're happy to have him back today in a couple of different roles. After making the PAT, we'll have a kickoff for Poly, then exchange footballs. Seven nothing, the Bears lead. I mentioned a 14-play drive to start it off, culminating on the 9-yard touchdown run by Jermaine Henderson at 2:46 of the first quarter. Poly in the whites. They're the home team tonight. Rodriguez will approach, and he'll boot it away. Low line drive. Skips up at the 6-yard line. This is Hernandez dancing outside at the 30. And Do-Si-Do, he'll be taken down on the play. The special teams play made by Noah Griffiths for Poly. Griffiths, a track athlete who Derek DeWitt recruited to come out for his football team. We were walking down on the field and looking at him. Griffiths got to be about, 6'1", 6'2", maybe 175 pounds. He looks the part.
He definitely passes the eyeball test.
Here's Hernandez. Another look at the return. About 25 yards on the return to Hernandez. and King will start at the 31-yard line. 2:37 to play first quarter. Well, taking a page out of Poly's book, trying to run the football, but not as much success on that play.
Yeah, I was going to say, were we just seeing a mirror image of these two teams?
Adil Bavadi gets a couple of yards on the play. Starting at quarterback for King is the sophomore Patrick Reagan. Split out to the near side, Joseph Ryan. Trey Anderson in the far slot. Here's Bavadi angling left. Spins through one tackle into the open field, but he stumbles down across the 45-yard line to the 46. He'll pick up about 13 and a first down on that one.
Yeah, the 45-yard line looked like it might have had a 2-inch raise there. It took him out. That's all that took him out from him and scoring a touchdown.
First and 10, 46 for King. Hurry up offense. Here's Bavadi left. Jalen Keaton says, how do you do? Throws him back, maybe a yard on the play. 2nd and 9 coming up. Another look at it. Well, again, we kind of ran into his own guy, but that was because that defensive line for Poly got down and dirty. Got the initial push.
Yeah, Jalen Keaton coming in from that right side defensive end.
2nd and 9. Tick down to a minute remaining in the first quarter. 7-0 Poly. Tight set for King. Hernandez around the right side. He'll juke, dance up inside. He'll traverse over midfield and get about 3 yards after contact. He got a little bit of help, a little bit of a bush push there. The big fella behind him was trying to help him along. That was Mason Murphy, and he's up into King territory to the 48-yard line.
Yeah, it was definitely got to credit Mason Murphy there. He just ran right behind him.
Jackson Ronner to the bottom of your screen. Joseph Ryan split out to the top of the screen in the 4-receiver set for King. Anderson comes in motion, and there's whistles and flags. A delay of game will be whistled against King. Second penalty against the Wolves for 10 yards. They'll back it off 5 yards.
Talking about Murphy. Murphy, 6'6". Large man, 265.
And for that to impress you is interesting because you stand a strong 6'8" yourself.
6'8". I'm right around that size. I could be an offensive lineman for the King Wolves. Suit me up, coach.
It's a 3rd and 9. They'll be content. Well, I guess it's a timeout. I thought they were going to have the clock run out, but instead a timeout on the field with 18 seconds to play. It'll be 3rd and 9 when we come back. Poly had to make a couple of changes on defense tonight. Warren Harden, their standout defensive end, will not play tonight. So the duties will fall to Jalen Keaton to try to make some things happen up front. Good linebacking core for the Bears as well. Isaac Rubin back there, Patrick Steach. We'll get a look on both sides of the ball at Jacob Reed. He's going to play some offensive line and some defensive line. Secondary, Daquan Gilbo back there with Josiah Harrison. For Poly, Sammy Sanchez at one of the corners.
Yeah, it's a shame we're not seeing Warren Harden play tonight. Seeing him before the game, he looks as big as all of these guys, and he wasn't wearing pads, just wearing a T-shirt and some shorts.
3rd and 9 from the 47 of King. They need to get to the 44 of Poly for the first down. Reagan to throw, he'll flare it out. This is Hernandez. A flag comes in, and he'll be flung down on the near side. That's Sandifer making the tackle near midfield. Let's sort the flag out.
It looks like there might have been a hold there right around the 45-yard line.
Tim Watt, our referee, making the call, and it'll back it off for King. Of course, Poly could opt to decline near midfield. So they'll take it back. It'll be 3rd and longer.
Every time you say Tim Watt, I'm thinking of Tim Watley from the great Seinfeld.
Only because you're an anti-dentite, Jeffrey. You want them to have their own schools, don't you, Jeff?
I do. Yes, I do. Oh, can we just call him Tim Watley the rest of the night, please?
I met the man. I shook his hand. You didn't. You can do whatever you want.
All right. Anytime we get a call, we're going to call him Tim Watley.
First quarter expires with Poly up 7-0. So the rivalry game, Kings won 3 in a row. Neither of these teams has a W on the season, and a good start for Derek DeWitt and the Bears. 7-0, a 9-minute drive in the first half, 14 plays, culminating in the 9-yard run by Jermaine Henderson. This is just the second possession of the game thus far, Jeff. Yes.
Our guy, Coach DeWitt. You know, he has an ESPY award.
Yes, he does. When he was a high school coach in Ohio, I think.
Yeah, a great story. Was playing against another guy on the team, and they ended up letting the guy score, and it made national news.
Yeah, there was a player who had a rare bone disease.
Yes.
So before the game, the coaches agreed, hey, we're going to get him on the field. And about halfway through the game, at halftime, Derek runs down the opposing and says, hey, getting him on the field isn't enough. We got to get the kid to score a touchdown.
Exactly.
And the kid scored a touchdown, and there was an ESPY, I believe it was in 2004, he won the ESPY for most inspirational play.
Yeah, and he said he did the whole rounds. He went to all the talk shows. I asked him, I said, are they going to make a movie about you? And he said, I hope so. I said, who's going to play it? And he said, Denzel.
Everybody wants Denzel. You want Denzel to play you.
You're damn right I want Denzel. He's a good-looking guy.
Third and very long. Here's the throw from Rana. Throws a good ball. It's tipped. Intended receiver for King. About midfield was Jasker and Rana. And it'll fall incomplete and be fourth down.
You know, if I'm Riverside Poly, you got to be happy with this stop on this drive. But that ball could have been caught and intercepted. Got to be aware of the entire field. Field vision is very important. Right here, you can see it tipped. Two guys right there. If they would have been more aware, might have been a pickoff.
11:55 to play in the first half. Joseph Ryan does it all. He's going to punt as well. Flag will come in, I believe, for a delay. Fourth penalty already on King. 4 penalties for 25 yards. We're just 5 seconds in. Well, instead it's offside. I'm sorry. So I blamed King before I looked at it. Offside on Poly. Their second penalty for just 10 yards.
If Poly gets the ball back and do exactly as they did with that first drive, hey, we might be out of here no later than 8-10 tonight. Could be a quick game.
Let's see what they do here. They change it up when they get the ball back. Ryan puts his foot into it, calling for the fair catch and catching it at the 26. How about that? 34-yard kick, fair catch, and it's 1st and 10 for Poly. They lead 7-0. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you. Special Saturday night edition of the CIF High School Football Game of the Week. 13th all-time meeting between Poly and King, as we got a quick look at number 91, Warren Harden, on the sideline, the best defensive player for Poly, not in action tonight due to injury. They were hoping to have him back, but not cleared as game day approached. Extra day didn't help Derek DeWitt and Poly. 3 receivers to the bottom of the screen. Bernie will throw. Completes it to Sandifer. About 8 yards up to the 34. 2 for 2 through the air is Bud Bernie.
And once again, the Poly Bears very efficient here on offense. They're not going for home runs. They're playing smart football. A couple missteps, handoffs in the first drive. Didn't stop them from scoring, but very efficient thus far.
Call it about 6 up to the 34. 2nd and 4. LaMontagne in motion. This time it'll be Carmen. He's up to the 35-yard line, so a 1-yard gain on the play for Camden Carmen. Carmen had 84 yards on the ground last week in the loss to Bonita.
So he picked up the slack after Jermaine Henderson, as you said, didn't play the entire game.
Didn't answer the bell in the third quarter. You know, early in the season, you don't want to risk an injury. You're an old coach, you know that.
Nope. Preseason, you just want to get in a rhythm and get ready for league or conference play.
3rd and 3 from the 35, Henderson. Dancing to the numbers. First down and more, still on his feet. Spins up just short of midfield. 14 yards on the play for Jermaine Henderson, who's already got 83 yards on 12 carries. Official timeout. King player down on the field. That's the big fella in the middle, I believe, Nathan Arenas. Instead, I'm sorry, Jordan Parrott. So 10:45 to play in the first half. Injury timeout with us. You were telling me earlier, yesterday not a good day on the field for Riverside teams.
No, the River Valley League teams. The favorite, Norte Vista High School, loses to Bert Esposito in Temecula Valley. And guess what? Before you know it, Temecula Valley is 3-0 after having wins 23 months apart. They've won 3 in a row.
You know, both these teams, been a while since they've tasted victory. Last win for Poly was last November 3rd. They knocked off Canyon Springs 54-37. Last win for King came last September 22nd at Elsinore.
As we look at the training staff, both training staffs are funded by the Riverside Sport Clinic with Jim Clover. And they ran out there. They were on the field within about 5 seconds.
You mentioned the loss for Norte Vista. We saw Arlington lose yesterday here on this field. Our game, 42-20 to Ramona. John W. North also took a loss yesterday to round out the Inland Valley League teams, or I guess that new Raincross division. I guess Notre Dame was idle yesterday. They started the season 3-0. We'll have them next week against Aquinas as Mr. Parrott will be helped off the field.
Yeah, Hillcrest took a shot yesterday, losing to Billy Cardosi and the Kaiser Cats 56-7. Patriot, though, pulled off a victory over Indian Springs of San Bernardino. Notre Dame had a good victory over Rubidoux, 59-20.
Oh, for Notre Dame, they played the dough. First and 10 from the 49. Bernie, quick throw to the outside. Sandifer climbs the ladder and he drops the football, and nobody blew a whistle. It's a fumble being returned by King. Could this be a scoop and score? It is a touchdown. The man on the spot, Dalen Kiles, the safety for King, picked up the loose ball, and now the officials are trying to discuss if it's an incomplete pass, but nobody blew a whistle. Kiles with about a 55-yard fumble return for touchdown. And Bill Powell was talking about that with us with regard to the defense of Poly, how they'd given up a couple of defensive touchdowns and a couple of special team touchdowns over those first 2 games.
Yeah, that's a tough shot. Kind of questionable, but he lost the ball before he hit the ground. Probably a good call. Man, tough play there. Great run, though, by Dalen Kiles, the sophomore. Looks like the referees want to.
So if you're scoring at home, give it a completion of about 8 yards for Bernie, and then the fumble by Sandifer.
They were actually going to kick the point after with the player still hurt on the field.
So DeWitt gets an explanation from Tim Watt, or as you like to call him, Tim Watley,
yeah, the
our
dentist.
referee today. I know obviously Coach doesn't like it, but what's he going to do? On to try the PAT for King is Chris Anklin. The PAT is up, and the PAT is good, and we have a tie ball game, Jeff. Another look at the play.
Good pass, throw up a little high.
1, 2. Ball was out.
Yes, it was.
Ball was out.
No knee on the turf.
So give it officially, I believe it'll be a 50-yard return. Kyle's just picked it up, the scoop and score. And we got a tie ball game. 7-7 with 10:26 to play. Anklin will kick it away. Henderson, one of the deep men for Poly. Darren Hooks back deep, along with Henderson. Into the end zone, and the ball will come out as a touchback. Get a look at Derek DeWitt, head coach in his third year. Talk to him before the game. You like him. All your friends tell you he's a very nice man.
Oh, he's great to talk to. Outside of football, we've managed to meet each other a couple times. Just a great guy, cares about the kids. He's improved their GPAs. He's improved being citizens on the field, off the field. I think he's doing a great job at Riverside Poly, and everybody I know that is affiliated with the program loves the man. I can only hope that he can continue to grow this football program.
The give to Henderson, and Joe Ryan says, how do you do? He'll be lost for about 3, or he'll be thrown for a loss of about 3. It'll be 2nd and 13.
No, and it's got to be kind of tough for Coach DeWitt because Riverside Poly, you said it's over 100 years older than Martin Luther King. There's a lot of expectations. They've had a lot of great coaches. Mike Churchill won a couple championships with Poly, and they were a juggernaut for decades.
Ethan Tijanera up top with Ethan LaMontagne and Steve Carpentiero. Griffiths to the bottom of your screen. Here's the throw by Bernie. Nearly picked off. Making the play is Isaac Meza for King. He nearly jumped the route and took it for another pick six. Incomplete will bring up 3rd down. Good out of his hands, but just laying in wait was Meza. Litahera was the intended receiver. He knocks it away.
Yeah, Bernie throwing the ball a little too high to his receivers, giving the defensive opportunity to jump the route or just go up and grab it like a jump ball.
Instead, intended receiver Ethan Tijanera. 3rd down and 13. Line is the 17. Bernie flings it downfield. Incomplete. Again, Ethan Tijarena was the intended receiver in the middle of the field. Was locked up in coverage. Tristan McMurray was around the football, as was Nate Hernandez. Another look. Hernandez overtopped. McMurray underneath. Incomplete. 4th down.
And King showing that zone defense in the secondary. There will be possibly some holes, but Bud Bernie's got to throw almost a perfect ball to his receivers, as King is showing some great defense here early in the 2nd quarter.
Well, we've seen the alpha, we've seen the omega. We've seen the 14-play drive. We just saw the 3 and out for Poly. 7-7 ball game, 9:32 to play in the first half. A 5-yard penalty will be marched off against the Bears. Their 3rd flag for 15 yards. And Laura Garthwaite will kick it away. Puts her foot into it. Ball bouncing. Be downed at the 47-yard line of King. 36-yard kick, no return. Good field position, though, coming out for the Wolves. Quite possibly, Miss Garthwaite, the only punter in the league who uses nail polish. She had some kind of like cyan or light blue nail polish.
Well, before the game, we were talking to the coaches, and she was standing right in front of me, and I didn't really think anything of it. She turned and smiled at me, and I said, "Hey, she has eye makeup on." And I said, "Hey, she's a cute girl. Congratulations." And I watched her in pregame. She was fantastic.
Bavati with the take. Gets right to midfield. Green combining on the hit with Keaton. 2 yards on the play for Adil Bavati.
Yeah, no, just a great story, though. Honestly, an awesome story. Surprising for me, and I guess football knows no boundaries. I love it.
If you can play, you can play. You know what they say?
That's exactly what they say, but very, very cool.
2nd and 8 from midfield for King. They have tied this game on the play by Kyles, the fumble recovery. 7-7 ball game. Reagan up the middle, about 6, tackled by Steech.
Reagan just tears down that wall. Look at this. Gets right past. Big hole there.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought you were going to throw in a bedtime for Bonzo reference. 3rd and 2 coming up. Ball at the 44-yard line of Poly. King, the momentum of the game has really swung to the Wolves with that defensive touchdown about 2.5 minutes ago. And Pat McCarthy will call timeout and talk it over. That's the first timeout for the Wolves.
Now, you said Pat McCarthy's calling the offense this year?
You know, I was chatting with Coach. He's running the offense. His son, Ryan, is running the defense. But he told me, you know, he's been a head coach 22 years. And he said probably about 20 of those he ran the offense. Now, more recently, he was a coordinator at Norte Vista, and he was the defensive coordinator here at King. But he said Arlington, for the most part, he would run the offense. He said there were years he actually ran both.
See, that's probably why it gave him some health problems. You know what he probably should do? If he's going to delegate, if I was a head coach, I've been coaching that long, I would coach special teams, or I would just hang out and play the part. I love Coach McCarthy. Remember, he and Coach Meach, Pat Meach, were with Ken Batdorf when they took that run to the CIF championship.
2016.
Yeah, when they lost
to San Gorgonio.
To Ron Gehringer, who's now at Corona High School.
McCarthy from the Bruick tree comes from that Fontana tradition.
And some very successful years at Fontana High School as well.
3rd and 2. King football. Play action. The route in the flat incomplete. Drake Dustin was the intended receiver. And since we're on a Seinfeld kick here, how do you feel about the Drake, Jeff?
The Drake.
Love the Drake.
I love the Drake. Everyone loves the Drake.
You can't say that now because you got the guy, the rapper guy. But back in the day,
everyone loves the Drake. Now, see, that would be just Drake now. That's today's the hip teenagers.
You mean Aubrey?
Yeah. But then you go the Drake, then everybody of our age was watching. Yeah.
But you know, Aubrey Graham's grandfather was Larry Graham. Remember that song "1 in a Million"?
I do.
I heard it on the radio driving in. I was thinking about that. I didn't think we'd be able to incorporate it into the broadcast. As Ryan will punt it. Green is tracking. He'll let the ball bounce. It'll roll dead at about the 14-yard line.
Last night, I think you brought up the Marble Rye.
Yeah, the Marble Rye.
I was thinking somehow tonight I was going to work in a babka.
Chocolate babka, yeah.
Chocolate
Can
babka.
never go wrong with it.
But no, cinnamon babka. Cinnamon.
You want to go cinnamon? Okay.
Or the black and white cookie.
I've just gotten on a cinnamon kick. They say you dust a little bit into your oatmeal, and it kind of kicks up the metabolism a little bit.
Look at you. Are you on one of those? Have you ever tried one of those cleanse diets?
No, I can't. See, my brother-in-law's a physician. He laughs. He's like, yeah, nothing,
He put apple cider vinegar and cayenne
I do
pepper.
the apple cider vinegar, but that's not a cleanse. That's just a morning palate cleanser, right?
You know what I do? They have a teaspoon. I get a big gulp, and I just drink an entire big gulp of apple cider vinegar once a day. Cleans everything out.
1st and 10 from the 14. Help tips from Jeff Gorham. Toss. Henderson accelerating at the 15. Around the 20, he'll get up to the 24-yard line close to a first down.
Yeah, if you drink a big gulp full of apple cider vinegar, then you can eat all the pizza and hot dogs you want.
See, tell your guy Pep, this is what we went on the TV show. Another look at it. Toss to Henderson, who's been prolific this evening. I love how in small space he can make himself a little bit less tackleable.
We saw this last night. Roby, the good running back from Ramona, similar situation. Tough to tackle, quick, strong, low center of gravity.
Henderson gets the 24, so they move the sticks. 1st and 10. LaMontagne comes in motion. They'll give the ball right up the middle to Henderson, and Henderson will cross over the 35 before he's tackled by Trey Anderson. So Anderson meet Henderson, Henderson meet Anderson. He's up to the 38-yard line, another 14 yards. He is over 100 yards unofficially.
And another good drive here by Poly.
Ball control, keeping it on the ground. Poly opened the game with a 9-minute drive, 80 yards, and put them on the board. 7-0. Henderson did the honors. Another 1st and 10 handoff to Henderson, dancing sideways. He'll burrow forward for maybe a yard. Holding contain on the play for a King was Ronnie Kaufman, making the tackle Devin Mladonovich. Second and 9 from the 39. Big fella Hunter Thetford running out there, extra blocker for Poly. 2-back set with Carman. We'll check that 1-back set now because they're going to go 4 wides. Griffiths, LaMontagne, Sandifer. Top of your screen. Bernie to throw. Bernie under pressure. Bernie being sacked back at the 35.
You mentioned LaMontagne is a transfer from Carnegie. Remember, Carnegie this past year had a mass exodus. The school closed and then reopened apparently this past week. I don't believe they have athletics, but it appears that a lot of those players have either gone to Poly, Notre Dame. They're sprinkled throughout the Inland Empire. And what's good is a lot of those kids were granted eligibility right away by the CIF.
Alma mater of one, Cullen Holt. Sandifer, Carpinterio to the top of the screen. Griffiths to the bottom of the screen. In the near slot is LaMontagne for Poly. 3rd and 13. Bernie trying to advance it himself and will get swallowed up after about a 2-yard pickup. Tyndall in there on the hit. And here's 4th down.
So King showing that they've stopped the Bears here in the last couple drives.
Good play up top. Kevin Strickland got a hand on Bernie before Tyndall brought him down. Garthwaite will kick it away. Ronnie Kaufman back deep, standing at the King 28. 5:15 to play in the first half. Here's Garthwaite's kick. Angling, it's a short kick. It'll bounce out of bounds at about the 47. She had a very good kick the first time. That one not as good distance-wise. And it'll be good field position for the Wolves.
There's a packed house here tonight. I just realized, this game might be over fairly quick, but it might take us a couple hours to get out of this parking lot. There's a lot of people.
Nice student section in place on both sides of the stadium. 1st and 10 for King. The give to Hernandez. Hernandez finds some space. Loses the football. The ball's still loose. Poly picked it up. Turnover to Poly.
Wow, just like that. And I'll tell you what, it was lost not once but a couple times. As we're going to see here on the replay. We haven't seen much of King's offense.
Another look at it. Well, his own man dispossessed him. And the ball's loose on the turf. And ultimately it was Doran Green that fell on top of it for Poly. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears from the 42.
Yeah, Mason Murphy actually ran right into him. The big fellow we talked about, the 6'6", 265.
Carman shuttling into motion, toss to Henderson. Henderson gets a couple extra yards after contact. Tyndall gets up from the bottom of the pile. He moves up to the 43. Another look at the fumble.
Yeah, Murphy just hit it right out of him. His hand.
You're moving. One guy's trying to move around you, then the other guy's trying to move forward. not always easy to negotiate when you're moving top speed. Sandifer split out to the top of the screen, trips to the bottom of your screen. Nearest to the bottom is Griffiths. Bernie. He's got time. He'll throw the ball down the field. Incomplete. About the 30-yard line. Intended receiver coming across was Carpinterio. So now just 2 of 6 through the air. Check that, 3 of 6 through the air is Bernie.
And Bernie rolls out to his left and is thrown across his body.
Hard throw.
Very tough throw.
It's a tough throw. 3rd down for the Bears. They need to get to the King 48 for a first down, making it 3rd and 9. Sandifer split out far. On the near side is Griffith, near slot LeMontagne for Poly. Throw to the near side, it's incomplete. Trying to go down and get it was Ethan LeMontagne. It's incomplete, brings up 4th down.
Yeah, it's like Bernie was a little upset with himself on that last pass there. Just seems to be out of rhythm here. I think maybe after he threw that a couple high passes, I'm sure he'll get back into his groove though.
7-7 ball game, 4:08 to play in the first half. Lauren Garthwaite on to punt. Ronnie Kaufman will receive the kick for King. Short hop to Garthwaite. Hits at about the 32, will skitter out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So a good kick from Garthwaite, 34 yards, no return. 1st and 10 from the 27 for the Wolves of King. Special Saturday night edition, 13th all-time meeting between the Wolves and the Bears.
Oh my.
We had the Lions yesterday. Lions and Wolves and Bears, oh my. I feel bad for the Rams because we couldn't do anything with the Rams in there, but they got a win. They're good.
Oh man, they were phenomenal.
You're just biased because you're an alum.
It was kind of cool to see those guys. I was very excited to talk to Coach Mashinsky after the game.
You excited to talk to you. 1st and 10. Nate Hernandez ping-ponging, pinballing. He's to the 30-yard line, 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Call it a 2nd and 7 from the 30 for King. 7-7 ball game. Clock moving, less than 4 minutes to play first half. Whistles and flags. False start signaled against the Wolves. Their 5th penalty for 35 yards. Little flinch there. Ball back to the 25-yard line. First down just over the 42, or excuse me, over the 37. So makes it a 2nd and 12. Pistol formation, Hernandez. Runs right into the big fella, Javier Alcaraz. Senior defensive tackle. Maybe to the line of scrimmage.
Tried to run off the right tackle there, but Poly was right there defensively.
3rd down from just inside the 25 for King. Down the field, one-on-one coverage. Incomplete. Doran Green on the coverage. Intended receiver about midfield, Jaskaran Rana.
Good pass here, though. Very catchable. Just outside of the left hand there, the receiver.
Well, the last 6 possessions after that turnover 3 and out, punt, turnover, and now 2 more punts. Joseph Ryan to kick. Dorian Hooks trying to make something happen. Hooks up to midfield. He'll cross into King territory, and it'll be good field position with 2:05 to play in the first half for Poly. So big opportunity here. Momentum definitely swung at 10:26 when Dalen Kiles picked up that fumble and raced back 50 yards to tie the ball game. Let's see if Poly can reestablish something here. First and 10, give to Henderson. It's been a good formula for the Bears. Gets the edge around close to a first down. The sticks fall down. Your buddy out there, Yancey Dotson.
You know, I wore this nice Hawaiian shirt today in honor of my friend, my childhood buddy, now head basketball coach at Riverside Poly. And I will say this, Riverside Poly is going to win a CIF and possibly a state championship this coming season.
Big prediction. 41-yard line of King, 2nd and 2 for Poly after the 8-yard run by Henderson. Play action, Bernie. First down and more. He'll dive forward. Stripping him up was Isaac Meza, but a first down for the Bears. Clock stops as the sticks are reset.
Good risk and a lot of reward there by Bernie. Runs. Good fake handoff.
Everybody's going one way. He fakes the other way to the 34-yard line. Under 2 minutes to play in the first half. 1st and 10 from the 34 for Poly. Sandifer split out to the short side of the field. To the near side is Griffiths. 2-back set for the Bears. Henderson kind of cuts back inside. It'll be a short run, 2 yards. Getting in on the tackle for King, Logan Hancock.
Now I'm a little surprised. Poly running to that right side of the field. Not a lot of real estate on the right side of that ball. Pretty unorthodox, but a lot of coaches are going to that. Now they set their offense and they go run off tackles.
Halftime coming up. We'll get a little bit of a presentation from the band. We'll get some messages from the city of Riverside, and then Jeff and I will get back and reset it for you in the second half. 7-7 ball game.
I have an observation here for you, Gazal.
That's why we pay you. So.
I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of high school football games. I'm going to say hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over my 47 years alive. I've never seen this many cheerleaders in my life. If we can get the guys down in the truck to, I want to say that there are more cheerleaders on this field than in the history of Ramona High School. There's never been this many cheerleaders. And I think that King says they have to have 87, and then Poly has to have to say we have 88 of them, and they just keep doing it. There's like 200 on each side.
That's the beauty of the rivalry. You just kind of one-up everybody on everything.
I was a cheer coach for a couple of years, and I had like 12 girls in my squad.
Here's the gift to Carmen. Finds some space to the 20-yard line. He'll move the sticks up. Big third down conversion. 13-yard pickup for Camden Carmen. Had 84 yards last week.
Look at that. There's about 150 girls there standing on boxes.
The long green and orange line.
Yes, and you heard correct. I did coach cheerleading for 2 years when I was at Norte Vista. They needed a coach. They said, Coach, we know you can coach basketball, but can you coach cheer? And I said, you're darn right. I took him. We went to all kinds of these performances. It was great. But I had 12 girls. They have 1,200.
1st and 10 from the 20 for Poly after the run by Carmen. Carpintero comes off the field, coming back on for the Bears, Tony Avalles Jr. 7-7 ball game. King will get the ball to start the second half. Bernie over the middle. Complete. Slant route inside the 5, down to the 3-yard line. Making the catch, Ovias, who is a last-second substitution.
Great play call. Look at that offensive line spread so far out, leaving that middle of the field 10-yard pass right over the top. Great play call by Riverside Poly and Coach Powell.
Looks like it's all coming back.
Oh,
Your friend Tim Watt making the call.
come on, Watley.
False start. 4th penalty on the Bears for 20 yards. They'll move back to the 25-yard line. 48 seconds to play. Clock continues to move. Bears have used all their timeouts. Watch Sandifer to the top of your screen. First and 15. Burney completes to Griffiths. Griffiths spinning down inside the 15-yard line. Clock continues to move. 9-yard pickup. Last play of the half. Burney rolling. Under pressure, gets away from Ryan. And he'll go down at the 22-yard line. Ryan with the contain, helping bring him down was Robert Slazenek. And that's how the first half will end. And the Bears and the Wolves will be tied at 7. I know Bill Powell in the booth next to us wasn't too happy about how that transpired.
No, they didn't get really the play they wanted. The clock was running. They weren't aligned correctly, and they couldn't get that last play off. 7-7 ball game. I'll tell you what, we saw a lot of Henderson was awesome in that first quarter, but then it just kind of, both teams just kind of punched each other back and forth, punting back and forth. Nobody went and showed themselves as being the better of the two.
Poly was driving. They had the big drive early. They got the ball again, and they were moving the ball down the field. And then all of a sudden, the big play, Sandifer loses the football on the way down after making a catch, 8-yard reception from Burney. He makes the catch, fumbles it away, scooped up by Dalen Kiles, who brings it back 50 yards, and it really took the wind out of Poly's sails. They were scuffling a little bit, then both teams kind of had a little trouble moving the football.
And I'll tell you what, if it stays like this, a big play could win a ball game. It could come down to special teams or a turnover. That is how this ball game is showing. It's not a pretty ball game, but it's one that somebody has to make a mistake in order to win.
Henderson with 120 yards in the first half and a touchdown. The lone touchdown for King came on defense in the first half, but Adil Bavadi has 23 yards on 5 carries for the Wolves. 7-7 at the half. We'll look at a little bit of a presentation. The band looked like they were coming out on the field. They're still waiting. We got the cheer squads out there, the never-ending cheer squads, you know. It's like you got Gabor sisters on both sides, right?
I'm telling you, you got Jaja and Ava, but they've just changed uniforms. They weren't wearing this earlier. There must be new ones. They've got cool.
Well, we'll let you guys be privy to some of the halftime festivities. Then Jeff and I will come back and we'll break down the first half and start the second half momentarily. Thanks for joining us here at Ramona High School. It is the game of the week, CIF High School Football on Riverside TV. I'm Ghazal. He's Jeff. We got the award-winning crew down in the truck. Score at the half is 7-7. We'll look at some festivities here and be back in a moment.
Tonight, for your halftime entertainment, the Poly High School Crown Heritage Band. Tonight, the band will perform the first two movements, Possible by Ruth B. and Four Scottish Dances by Malcolm Hunt. Under the direction of drum majors Quinton Toma and Jasmine Bauer. Please enjoy the 2018 Riverside Poly Crown Heritage Band.
Got junk too big for the trash can? Then call 311 to schedule a bulky item pickup. Riverside residents get 2 free pickups a year, but you gotta follow 3 simple rules. Bulky items must be curbside by 5:30 a.m. the day of your pickup, light enough for 2 people to lift, and the total volume can't be larger than 8 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. If you got a lot of junk, check out our bulky item and e-waste drop-off events held several times each year. Bulky item pickup. Call us today and we'll haul it away.
I'm a police officer pilot. I've been with the city for a little over 10 years. I've always loved aviation and I've always loved law enforcement, so to be able to combine the two together, two of the things that I love the most. I've got experience in a background in law enforcement, so to couple that with aviation and fly every day and still do police work, that's why I'm out here. Work day shift 7 to 5. I usually get here a little before 7. We'll get an email on what occurred the previous evening, so I'll go through those. I'll also check temporary flight restrictions, so I'll check those and see if there's any in the area that we can't fly into. And then we'll go out and do a pre-flight on the helicopter. We'll walk around, check everything, make sure everything's functioning properly. And sometimes we're up for patrol. Other times when we're here on the ground, we'll respond to an incident. If a vehicle pursuit or a foot pursuit or something goes out, we'll launch for that. If there's a fire in the river bottom, we'll go up and provide air support for the firemen on the ground. Code enforcement uses us for their green pool flights, so we'll go up and we'll look for green pools. We're assisting a lot of different departments. I'm a 4th generation Riverside resident out of 5 generations now. My family has set roots here back in the 1900s, and I've got a connection to Riverside, so family and friends are here, and it's nice to give back to a community that we've been brought up in. So, if I were to describe my job in 2 words, it would be uniquely awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. I get to fly a helicopter and do something that I really enjoy doing, at the same time protecting and serving a community that I grew up in. So.
Los Novillos is a Mexican market located on Main Street, not far from downtown Riverside. The name means young male bull, which is typically used for its high-quality meat. Alberto Murillo is the owner.
Been in the business for years and years, almost 20 years in the city of Riverside. And always, since I started working, I always dreamed like one day I'll have my own business. And since I'm being in Riverside for so many years, I said, well, this is a good opportunity. So I asked a couple friends, and my brother, hey, this is the opportunity of our life. Do we take it or not? And they're like, yes, go for it.
The store features a good selection of fruits, vegetables, canned goods, meats, and seafood. There's also several kinds of cheese, salsa, and guacamole. Loyal customers who shop here say it's because of their fresh food and great customer service.
I hike at Mount Rubidoux, and I go here every morning to buy fresh ceviche. It's a great market, and they're just gonna get bigger and better, so come shop here.
Usually I'll come in here to buy lunch, but if I need anything for my house, any supplemental groceries, I come in here and I buy everything. Everything's fresh.
Alberto says he trains his staff to treat customers like family. Mercedes Duran is one of his cashiers.
Just asking with how are you doing, that makes a really big difference. And just being in a small market, you kind of notice who's who and what are they doing. Sometimes we'll even ask them like, what are you cooking today? Are you doing spaghetti? Are you doing carne asada? Or, that makes a difference. Yeah.
I wanted the people, when they came, I wanted to feel like welcome, like, oh, this is my house, like this is family. And that's what I wanted to tell all my customers, that they're not just customers, they're guests for me. They're guests, they're my guests, they're my family all the time. When they came, if I know their names, I tell them about their names and everything. I shake hands all day long, and I think they like it.
Welcome back, Riverside TV CIF High School Football Game of the Week. They call it the Rivalry Renewed. These teams played every year between 2004 and 2011. The series ceased momentarily, but they played each of the last 4 years. All-time meeting number 13, and we're knotted at 7 between the oldest high school in the Riverside Unified School District and the youngest.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, nobody wants to give up this lead. It's going to be a battle here. Hopefully something can separate themselves, because right now we're all knotted up at 7 apiece.
The first score came, you saw it on that run of replays with 2:46 left to play in the first quarter. Jermaine Henderson, a 9-yard touchdown run, capping off a 14-play, 80-yard drive that chewed up 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Get a look at it right here. And then it looked like Riverside probably was kind of taking control of the game. They were moving the ball down the field. They were moving into King territory. Then this play happened. Down goes Sandifer. It's ruled a fumble. Meza makes the play, and Dalen Kyle's the scoop and score. That came at 10:26 of the second quarter, a 50-yard fumble return, and it's 7-7. So offensively, really, Henderson has done the damage. 20 carries for him, 120 yards and a touchdown, 38 yards through the air for Bud Burney. King really hasn't had much go on their side. 23 yards on the ground for Bavati, 3 yards on the ground on a couple of carries for Hernandez, but Patrick Reagan hasn't yet completed a pass. Their big play was that fumble recovery.
Yeah, and time of possession definitely went in Poly's favor. King, however, we have yet to see them really get going on offense, like you said. Hopefully things will materialize here in the second half.
One touchdown offensively for King over the last 11 quarters. They scored in the third quarter of that Great Oak game as we're underway. King football will come out to the 40-yard line on the kickoff return, and King will get an opportunity here. Greg, we talked to Pat McCarthy before the game, and he's running the offense now, and he's got to be a little bit concerned with their lack of offensive productivity. They did put up 21 points in their opener against Temescal Canyon, but they were knocked off by Great Oak 20-7 on the road, and then last week against Paloma Valley, they were shut out by a score of 20-0. First and 10 from the 40 for King. Give. This is Hernandez. 40, 45. stood up by Steach and pushed back. They'll give him forward progress to the 45-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Yeah, and you talked about that offense. They've got to right the ship before they hit league play, because guess what? That's a pretty tough league. You've got the 5th best team in the country in Centennial. Then you got Roosevelt, Corona, Santiago, and Norco. So you got to put something together offensively if you want to compete.
Second and 5, and Tim Watt will send Adil Bhavati off with an equipment issue. Austin Stark has entered the game. He's at the top of your screen. He was the quarterback last year, split out at wide receiver. Far slot, Ronnie Kaufman. Flexed out to the near side is Joe Ryan. Checking into the game is Drake Dustin. 2nd and 5 from the 45 for King. Play action, airing it out. Nearly intercepted. Doran Hooks with the play. Nearly coming up with it. It's incomplete. Will bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, Coach DeWitt talked about Hooks prior to the game. Said he was a very, very good athlete. We saw it right there. The only thing that kept him from getting the interception was the ground.
King's committed to playing some young guys. They got a bunch of sophomores playing. I talked to Coach McCarthy before the game, and he said, we're committed to that. We want to get these guys experience until we get into Big 8. Going to look at the play. Nice play by Hooks. Sinking pass. Really kind of made a last-ditch effort at it. 3rd and 5 from the 45. Reagan to throw. Now he's in some trouble, and he'll go down at the 40-yard line. Keaton around the play. Pelayo there as well. Hooks was involved. Also stepping in there, Alcaraz.
Yeah, Reagan gets outside of those hash marks. He should really just get rid of it.
So another 3 and out for King. Clock ticks, 4th and 5. Joseph Ryan on to kick it away. Hooks back to receive for Poly. 7-7, 10:27 to play in the 3rd quarter. Ghazal Hassan, Jeff Gorham with you, along with our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew. Ryan kicks. Hooks will let it hit and bounce. It'll go out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. They'll mark it at the 17. So a good kick, 43 yards, no return.
My question is, who wants to win this ball game?
At a certain point, you got to take control. You got to make a decision. They say big-time players make big-time plays. And Jermaine Henderson's been pretty big-time today.
I will say, I have to agree there. It has been a healthy dose of Jermaine Henderson. Let's see if he can break one here free.
Henderson finds some space. Shifty, trying to angle to the outside. He'll be brought down after about a 10-yard pickup, close to a 1st down. And he'll have it. They'll move the sticks. From the 27, a 1st and 10 for Poly. Feed the beast again. Here's Henderson picking his way, running into some interference, but moving forward, continuing to drive. He'll drag tacklers up to about the 33. Good 6-yard pickup on 1st down.
Well, he's got some quick feet. If you watch him, he's really working hard in there, like a steam engine, just pounding through those big defensive linemen. Hard guy to stop.
Football's a game of attrition. You pound on guys enough, they start to feel it. And a guy like Henderson, you pound with him. Eventually, he's going to break a big one off. Carmen is the tailback. Keaton, the fullback in the jumbo set. Carmen will traverse over the 35 to about the 38-yard line. 4-yard pickup on the play. Sticks move up. Carmen now with 18 yards on 3 carries. He had 84 yards last week in Henderson's stead when Henderson couldn't answer the bell in the second half for Poly. 1st and 10, line is the 38. Poly football, they're tied with King 7-7. Carmen will pound the middle and get up to about the 40-yard line. thrown down by Tyndall. Good job here by Coach DeWitt and offensive coordinator Bill Powell, giving Henderson a little bit of a breather, a couple of carries for Carman, and they're in a 2nd and 8 situation. Henderson on the toss. About 4 to the 45.
Yeah, Henderson has been carrying the load tonight, but you got to hope that he is conditioned enough to get through this ball game. He's handled the ball quite a bit and taken a lot of punishment.
Stack in the box is King. 3rd and 4. This is Henderson again. Slides through, gets to midfield, another first down. Got past DeGennaro at the first point of contact. Was finally brought down by Dalen Kiles, but not before he had the first down.
So the Bears eating up a lot of clock here on this drive, a lot like the first one of the first quarter.
1st and 10, not quite to midfield. The 49 is the official spot. Sandifer to the top of your screen is part of that trips formation on the right side. Carman, the fullback, will pound it.
Little thunder and lightning.
Devin Mladenovich will drag him down after about a 5-yard pickup. Reminiscent of the late 2000s television series, Friday Night Lights, like a Smash Williams-Tim Riggins combination in the backfield for Poly. Give him 7 up to the 44, 2nd and 3. Late defensive substitution for King. Clock moving. Carman running between the tackles, still grinding, leaning. Down to the 41, close to another first down. So Carman, 6 carries for him for 29 yards. It's a 3rd and short.
Bring the thunder.
Third down coming up for Poly. Carman bent back, but second effort. He'll lean forward over the 40, and from where the line judge is standing, he got it. So Carman doing some of that tough mudding between the tackles. But, you know, Henderson, from what we've seen, not afraid to mix it up either. But good run here by Carman. First contacted by Cobbs and drives through it for the first down.
Boy, he shows a lot of upper body strength. He's taking shots up high and just dragging guys across those taking yards.
Jalen Keaton, the starting defensive end, is the fullback. 1st and 10. Carman right up the gut into the teeth of the defense. Will cross up to about the 36. So kind of splitting the labor here between Henderson and Carman. Jermaine Henderson back in. He's got 145 yards on 24 carries unofficially. 2nd and 5. Little juke step trying to get outside. DeGennaro rides him down. Get down to about the 23-yard line. Instead, I'm sorry, the 33. So 3rd and manageable. It's a 3rd and 3. Noah Griffiths down to the bottom of the screen. Jerry Sandifer to the top of the screen. 2-back set. Keaton and Henderson. Henderson. Into the scrum. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage, 4th down.
Bears looking to the sideline.
11th play of the drive coming up. It started back in Poly territory at the 17. They've traversed 50 yards, have 33 more to go. 4th and 2. Carman looks to be short. Ball over on downs to King. So 11 plays, they burn the clock down to 4:03, but they'll turn the ball over.
I mean, you got to be happy with the clock management and eating up the clock, but
well, you want points though.
You got to get something out of it, and neither team is giving it up.
Lone score for King was a defensive touchdown. Lone score for Poly the opening drive. 7-7, 4:03 to play third quarter. 1st and 10 from the 31 for King. Bavati finds some space in the middle. Still on his feet, slashing to the outside, into the open field.
Well, there's a big play.
Nice long run for Bavati. Get all the way to the 30-yard line. 49-yard run for Bavati. Get another look at it, Jeff.
Well, he goes inside. Just quickness there. No big blocks. He just ran by guys. 3-4 missed tackles before he gets taken out.
Rubin finally knocks him out. Hooks had a shot at him, but he got by Hooks. 1st and 10, King from the Poly 30. 3:51 to play third quarter. We're knotted at 7. Anderson in motion. Little misdirection. Ball handed off to Hernandez. Cuts back inside the 20. Ledbetter funnels him to Keaton, who drops him, but they'll mark the progress to the 20-yard line. 10-yard pickup on the play for Hernandez.
Good run by Hernandez, but a little bit extra. Should have probably just gone as far as he could to the outside. Lost a couple yards when he traversed back to his left side, as we're watching here. Great call, though, offensively. And then gets to the outside. Should have just taken a dive.
Jaskar and Rana on the near side. Joe Ryan now is split out as a wide receiver. In the far slot, Trey Anderson. Bavati, the single back. Hernandez, the man in motion. Mishandling the snap, kind of juggled the snap, did the quarterback Reagan, and he's down after about 2 yards. Was looking to give it to Bavati, but couldn't get a handle on it.
We've seen that a couple times tonight by both teams, both quarterbacks.
Clock continues to move. Another look at it. Whoops.
Kind of a high snap.
Smart play, though.
Yes. Looks like he took his eye off the ball. Probably thought of the play before he actually moved. But yeah, kind of a high snap there.
Discretion, the better part of valor, though, for Reagan. Didn't try to be a hero, just tucked it under and kept it going. 2nd down. Reagan to throw. Tipped in and out of the hands of Anderson. Anderson locked in coverage with DeQuan Gilbo. Would have been an acrobatic catch if Anderson could have reeled that one in.
Look at the pass. Through to the inside. Everybody wants to catch the one-handed catch. That was it.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Everyone. If you watch every pregame, we watch guys throwing routes, and they all try to catch one-handed passes. He's thrown a little behind, but could have been a highlight for that young man.
3rd and 9 from the 19. Bavati kind of directing traffic. Reagan to throw, middle of the field. Intended for Hernandez, incomplete. Rubin on the coverage for Poly. It'll be 4th down.
Great defensive effort there by Rubin. If you watch, he put both hands up. No touching on the offensive player. Just put his hands right into the passing lane and unable to catch. So good call by Rubin. Watch here.
DeWitt was very complimentary of Rubin when we were talking to him on the field. Just the kid's a gamer, the football player. He's sad he only has him for a year.
Well, it was definitely evident there he could play the game.
35-yard field goal attempt for Chris Anklin. And it's good. So with 2:02 to play in the third, 35-yard field goal for Anklin. And ever since we've been covering King, they've always been pretty good. They've always had a kicker that can kick some field goals. It's a big advantage at the high school level.
It is, especially in games like this where, you're not getting much from your offenses. You've got to have your special teams, because we said this game could come down to a field goal. It could come down to mistakes, and that's what we've seen so far tonight.
8 plays on that drive, 49 yards to set up the field goal. Big run was that 49-yard run by Bavati to cross into Poly territory. So with 2:02 in the third quarter, the Wolves take the 10-7 lead on the field goal off the foot of Chris Anklin. And he will kick it away. Sandifer and Hooks await. Sandifer from the 2. Finds some space. And he'll be slung down over the 30-yard line, making the tackle for King, Gavin Castleman.
Great move inside. Nearly had a hole, but 3 Wolves there to take him down.
From the 34, it'll be a 1st and 10 for Poly. They trail 10-7. Two by 2. Sandifer to the top of the screen. Griffiths to the bottom of your screen. Here's Henderson going in motion. Burney into the flat for Sandifer. Sandifer breaks free, pushed out of bounds. I think DeGennaro shoved him out at the 48. 14-yard pickup on the play.
If DeGennaro's not there, that's a touchdown. What a good play call. Henderson went in motion. Everybody keyed on him.
Sandifer's third reception for 30 yards, and the sticks move up for Poly. Good job for Burney there, getting some confidence now. His team needs him. They trail by 3. Trips to the near side. The man in the middle is Carpintero. Sandifer again split out to the top of the screen. Carmen will pound inside. Maybe get to midfield on the play. A couple of yards for Camden Carmen, who's done a nice job. We're talking with Derek DeWitt, and he was saying, they like to employ him as kind of an H or a fullback, but he's been running tailback for a good portion of this second half.
Yes, he has. I still want to see Griffiths. I keep eyeing him, thinking he's going to break free, being the track star.
From midfield, 2nd and 8 for Poly. They trail 10-7. Burney under pressure. He'll run with it. Step out of bounds. No, he'll get kind of helped out of bounds. Ronnie Kaufman escorted him. That 7-yard pickup on the play will bring up 3rd down. First down is to the 42. So they mark it to the 44. It'll be a 3rd and 2. A minute 6 to play third quarter. Poly moving the football. This drive started back at the Poly 34. They're now in King territory. Henderson. Fresh legs. First down to the 39.
It's definitely been a workhorse tonight. He's had a lot of carries.
27 carries for Henderson, 152 yards. Had 20 in the first half. So Derek DeWitt employing kind of a platoon system in the backfield. We'll see Carmen there. They're alternating plays. Carmen up the middle. Carmen still stumbling forward. Carmen will be tackled by Anderson at the 25. 15-yard pickup for Camden Carmen.
Camden Carmen, I'll tell you what, 5'11", 170. He looks a lot bigger out there. He runs upward, holds the ball up high, but man, he is tough to bring down.
Line is the 25 of King, 1st and 10 Poly. They'll give it right back to Carmen. Open space. He'll put his shoulder down, and Ronnie Kaufman will finally bring him down inside the 10. 1st and goal for Poly.
It was all Henderson first half. Carmen here, look at this run.
On this drive alone, 3 carries for Carmen, 33 yards. Poly is all the way down inside the 10, and it's a timeout Bears. It'll be 1st and goal when they tee it up again. So how about that? They give up the field goal to King, and they come right back, and now they're inside the 10-yard line.
I'll tell you what, a great play calling. That has just been smash-mouth football, and this is where conditioning comes into play. Who is more conditioned? They're pound and pound and pound. Something has to give. Which line? Is it going to be the offense or the defensive line? And right now it's all offense by the Bears.
6 plays on the drive. They've moved from the 34 of Poly all the way down to the 9 of King. The big plays, a 14-yard completion to Sandifer, and 2 big runs, a 15 and 16-yard run by Camden Carmen.
And I believe the referees said the timeout was on Poly, but it was actually called on King.
So King called the timeout.
Yeah, King called the timeout.
Ryan McCarthy, defensive coordinator, son of Pat McCarthy.
Nepotism. I cry nepotism.
1st and goal from the 9 for Poly. It's a 10-7 lead for King. Pace picking up here in the second half. Here's Carmen. And he'll be brought down. Tyndall got some help on the play from Rana. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Second and goal coming up. Sandifer this time split out to the near side. All alone to the top of the screen is LaMontagne. Here's the give to Carmen. And he'll be dragged down by Ryan at the 5-yard line. And that'll be the end of the third quarter. So it'll be 3rd and goal when we resume from the 5-yard line. And it's a 10-7 lead for King. Impressive drive for the Bears of Poly, Jeff Gorham.
I'll tell you what, there's been 2 drives that stand out. That first one in the first quarter where they held the ball for 9 minutes? 9 minutes and 4 seconds. And this one right here, and that could be the ball game.
What's interesting is they've got recent history between the 2 teams. This is good. Both teams kind of struggling out. Had that great run by King in 2016, and it looked like they were pretty well set. Then Kevin Court had stepped down. They had a bevy of players transfer. And, of course, go back to 13-14, that great run under Dennis Brown, who's now the head coach over at John W. North, kind of suddenly stepped aside to become the athletic director at King. So all these factor in. It's like one of those Real Housewives things. There's always some drama, and each school factors in.
I'm telling you, it's an old boys club here in Riverside. All the old schools, Ramona, Poly, Arlington, King, they just trade guys.
Well, it's a good district to work in. You know that. You've worked at a couple schools in this district.
I have. I'll tell you, and I grew up here, went to Ramona, grew up hating Poly. Now I like them just because of my boy Yancey and some of the guys that work over at Poly. But, man, yeah, it's a great district.
3rd and 5, Bernie to throw, being chased by Tyndall. Gets rid of the football. Incomplete, and it'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, I think people are listening and go, hey, did I hear him say that he hates Poly? Well, you know what? I did go to Ramona, and that was
okay. It's a healthy hate. It's a rivalry hate.
It's a rivalry that we've, before King, it was Ramona Poly.
Another look at the play by Bernie. Good pressure coming in. Just keying on the quarterback. He had a receiver. It was a little bit closer than we thought. I thought he was just burning it down, but he did have a guy out of the corner of his eye. And a field goal attempt coming up for Poly. On to kick Dakota Anderson. Kick is up. And the kick is good. 22-yard field goal. Oh, excuse me, that was Laura Garthwaite.
You're darn right it was Laura Garthwaite.
My bad. 11:50 of the fourth quarter. She ties the game at 10.
See, every time I see a young lady playing a sport with guys, I still have to go back to my Bad News Bears days.
Amanda Wurlitzer.
Yes.
Tatum O'Neal. You know, I was just watching the other night. The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training was on cable. Sometimes we're the Bad News Bears. Sometimes we're just bad news. You know what I mean? Actually, just DVR'd Go to Japan.
God, don't go back and watch that one.
That's Sunday night. If I have time, I'll trap that on Sunday night. It's 90 minutes. It's Tony Curtis is in that one.
And
plays a low-grade hustler who promotes a game in Japan.
But you know, Tanner Boyle lost his spark after the first.
Well,
two.
He's not in the Japan.
He's not in the Japan one.
Kickoff for Poly. Kaufman from the 10. Trying to find some room, and he does in the middle. Still moving. Kaufman dragging the pile all the way out to the 40-yard line to the 43. How about that? Ronnie Kaufman says, I'm a senior. This is a rivalry game. Get on my back and let's go. And he gets up to the 43, 33-yard return.
I thought I was watching New Zealand, Australia rugby right there.
Look at Kaufman. Draws contact there and then gets another good 10 yards after that. They'll move it up to the 42-yard line. So from the 42, King and Poly are knotted at 10. Thanks for joining us. Watch Riverside.com as well as on the various cable systems. 11:34 to play in this one. Stay with us. Should be a fun one. Hernandez in motion. Give to Bavati. Right down the chute. And some more rugby stuff. Forward to the 36-yard line. 22-yard gain. So Bavati now, a modest 7 carries, but has 94 yards.
I think they're just picking him up and guys are carrying him.
Steech had him wrapped and finally got some help from Serta before he was wrestled down at the 36. That's like sumo, kind of in the open field like that, right? Call him Yokozuna.
Are they throwing salt on the field? Is that what's going on?
First and 10 for King from the 36. Some confusion. Austin Stark split out to the near side, and it'll be a delay on King. 5-yard penalty on the Wolves. Sixth penalty on King, 35 yards. The ball moves back to the 41. In the booth next to us, 2 gentlemen of the game, Bill Powell and John Rice on the staff at Poly. Nice chat with them before the game. First and 15. Here's Kaufman in motion. The give to Bavati. Ball on the turf. Ball is loose. Falling on it for the Wolves. Carlos Bedoya, the junior offensive lineman. Look what I found.
He fell right on it. You know, talking about Bill Powell, as we watch this replay here, the drop.
Talk about Coach Powell.
Coach Powell is one of the best bakers I've ever met. He would bring Pep Fernandez and I over at the Endless Sports Show. He'd bring us magic bars and peach cobbler, and they were both fantastic. I'm going to have to get his recipe from him if they win.
First down to the 26. We'll call it second and 18. Bavati slamming ahead to the 40. Third down.
And then sitting right next to Coach Rice here, I keep seeing this ring. It's the biggest ring I've ever seen, bigger than the NBA championship, NFL,
championship ring from St. John Bosco when he was on the staff there.
It's bigger than a Super Bowl ring, for gosh sakes.
But people don't know, Coach Rice, Shakespearean scholar. So we'll discuss the great works. Macbeth, Julius Caesar, Othello is one of his favorites.
He's got a really good 5 o'clock shadow. I bet he can act it out for us.
You're a Game of Thrones guy. You could have a discussion.
I'll go over and talk to him. I don't think I can talk to him right this second, though.
From the 41, it's a 3rd and 15 for King. Here's Reagan to pass. Down the sideline, he's got a man. It's complete. That's Bavati. Pay dirt. Touchdown, King.
There's the big play right there, Gazal. There haven't been too many of them, but that one right there was on the money and perfecto.
9:31 to play in the fourth quarter. King back in the lead. 41-yard pass from Patrick Reagan to Adil Bavadi.
I've said his name quite a bit tonight, Bavadi.
Bavadi with 95 yards on the ground. That reception for 41. Out of the hold of Austin Stark. Anklem will kick it. And he booms it through. And it's 17-10 with 9:27 to play.
Is that the first offensive touchdown that they've had in
Yes,
11 quarters? 12 quarters.
The last 13 quarters.
13 quarters.
So, they had one TD in the second one, actually. It's the first in the last 9. So good job. 4 plays on that drive, 58 yards, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So they put it up quickly. And now it turns to Poly. Sandifer and Hooks are deep. And Poly trying to punch back into this one. King trying to keep their winning streak alive against Poly. They've won the last 3. Anklem with a kick, Sandifer from the 5. Little juke trying to get outside. Got some space. He's got a blocker ahead of him. Hooks with a block, and Anderson will push him out of bounds at the 45-yard line. A 50-yard return by Sandifer. Big-time players make big-time plays, and Jerry Sandifer did just that.
I'll tell you what, he eluded a couple guys there, big dudes, including number 49, Jordan Perot.
Great block at the end of the run by Hooks, giving him a little bit extra space. An advantageous field position for Poly from the 45 on the plus side of the field. 1st and 10. Henderson finds his space. 14 yards on that burst. Henderson now with 167 yards on 28 carries.
I'll tell you what, if Poly can do what they've done a few times this game, control the clock, control the ground, they can score. They can make this a winnable game here with under 9 minutes.
Remember, Sandifer's fumble resulted in the first King touchdown, so he's trying to make amends, did so, setting up this drive. 1st and 10 from the 30. Toss, Henderson. Good job. Speaking of that scoop and score, Dalen Kyle's the man who did the honors. Stops Henderson in his tracks there, no gain.
Yeah, Dalen Kyles just threw his body in front of the young man. Tough to grab. You might as well just lay down in front of him. Good tackle there.
As they say back at Latito's Deli in Ramsey, New Jersey, bada bing, bada boom. 2nd and 9. Line is the 30 for Poly. King has gone ahead 17-10 on the 41-yard touchdown completion from Reagan to Bavadi. Poly trying to answer back. Bernie steps through the pressure. Won't get away from that. He's dragged down from behind. Making the play, Jason Cobbs for King.
I'm going to venture to say that the Bears are going to get a first down here. Gazal.
Flag in on the play. Was it a face mask?
Appears it.
Get another look at it here, Jeff.
They're going to call a personal foul.
Oh, you know what? It's not. It's a horse collar. It's not,
Is
not
that
a
what it
face
was?
mask.
Okay.
So the ball now will move to the 15-yard line. A big 15-yard penalty. 7th penalty on King. Line is the 16. Carmen. Running left, gets a couple. Tyndall with the tackle.
Carmen looks like he sustained a little injury there.
Carmen now 74 yards on 14 carries. Henderson shuttles back in. Trips to the near side. Bottom of your screen is Sandifer. Henderson still free. And he'll get knocked down at the 5-yard line. So move the sticks. It'll be 1st and goal. How was Yancey Dotson, by the way? I didn't get a chance to chat with him before the game. I know you did. Went and said hello.
Hey, I'll tell you what. It was great talking to Yancey.
Head basketball coach at Poly.
As we're going to the illegal substitution here or something. Get a guy out. No, Yancey is great. He's got, I'm telling you, the best team in the Inland Empire. But what was more important is I got to say hello to his mother, the great Helen Dodson, before the game, and his sister Risa. And his daughter, Kaylee, is a cheerleader, a sophomore at Poly.
A little bit of a rough exchange, and Henderson will be thrown for a loss. Big fella getting up from the bottom of the pile is Jordan Parrott. Timeout, King. Loss on the play.
You're talking about both basketball programs, very, very successful. King has been a state. Remember, the first year in the school's existence, they won a CIF state championship. In their first year as a program, led by Marvin Lee, who played at Pepperdine, was a great player, now runs travel ball here in the area. Now coached by Jeffrey Dietz. They've got a great program. But Yancey Dodson, I'll tell you what, has come full circle 3 times. I called him the Billy Martin of Riverside Poly. I think Yancey's one of the best basketball coaches around. He won CIF championships at Glendora, Rancho Verde, and I'm telling you, he's going to get his first at Riverside Poly here shortly.
Line is the 7, 2nd and goal. Sandifer split out wide to the near side. Top of the screen is Tijerino. Henderson. He's got space. Leans forward. Is he in? Touchdown. Late call by the side judge. Touchdown, Poly. Second touchdown run of the game for Jermaine Henderson. And an extra point away from it being a tie ball game. Lauren Garthwaite on for the PAT. And it's good. 6:34 to play. Get another look at the Henderson run.
Just right up the middle, right up the gut, untouched until he hits the end zone.
5-play drive, 45 yards, aided by that personal foul. 2 minutes and 43 seconds on the drive for Poly, and we're tied at 17. We got a ball game, Jeff Gorham.
We do, 17 apiece.
Yeah. All-time series. Mentioned 13th meeting, King leads 7-5. The Wolves have won the last 3. Last Poly win 2014. That was the year they renewed the rivalry after not having played for a couple of years.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this has been not a pretty game, but it's a good game. The second half here, teams are picking up. They're getting into it.
Rana and Hernandez deep, and they're going to kick it short onside, but it'll be fielded by King, and they'll keep it. Jason Cobbs fell on it at the 49-yard line of the Wolves. I saw you scratching your head a little bit there, Jeff.
Yeah, I was a little shocked they went for the onside kick.
Another look at it. Yeah, more of a squib than an onside.
Yeah.
Just trying to bounce it off somebody, but a nice play nonetheless. King football, they moved the ball well last time. Let's see what they do here. Bunch formation to the near side. Very tight set for King. Here's the give to Hernandez. Oh, they had 12 men on the field, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So Hernandez gets into Poly territory. No flag, huh? Nobody saw it.
Nope.
Who had 12?
Poly.
Poly had 12 on the field, still gave up 6 yards. Hernandez now 5 carries, 24 yards. Stark to the top of the screen. Kaufman in the far slot. Split out to the near side. Joe Ryan for King. Hernandez now will flex out as well. Bavati is the single back. 2nd and 3, line is the 44 of Poly. Feed Bavati. Ledbetter grabs him, but he drags Ledbetter to about the 40. So 4 more yards, another first down.
Tell you what, go to Bavati. He has been your workhorse here the second half. He's been dynamic, made some big plays, catching and running the ball.
41-yard touchdown reception earlier, and now 12 carries for 99 yards for Adil Bavati. Senior running back for King. Clock moving. 1st and 10 from the 40. Kaufman on the end around. Flag comes in. Kaufman hurdles to the 36, tackled by Ledbetter for Poly, but a flag needs to be sorted out.
That was a cool hurdle, though. Looked good.
They'll go against King. It'll be their 8th penalty. So 60 yards in penalties for the Wolves. The ball back to the Poly 49-yard line. 17 apiece, 5:18 to play. It's a big situation for the Poly defense. They want to get their offense the ball. King would like to finish off this drive, obviously. Timeout, King.
Well, now it's becoming a chess match, Gazal. Which team can get close enough to just put it through the uprights is what I'm thinking is going to happen.
I mean, we've had 2 field goals. Each team has hit a field goal. I would imagine King probably a little bit stronger with regard to the kicking game. Anklam's was from 35 yards. Garthwaite, hers was from about 23. But, she's been pretty good on those kicks. Hasn't missed a PAT. Made the field goal.
And with 5 minutes, you got to just get within that territory.
You got to feel a little bit better if you're Pat McCarthy and King after being held with 1 touchdown over the last 9 quarters. That was in the third quarter of the Great Oak game. They've been shut out over the last 5 quarters. They got a defensive touchdown in the first half and were able to score on offense in the second half, a field goal and a touchdown. Bavati with a good game again, 10 carries for him for 99 yards. And Reagan, the young sophomore, showing some maturity. Hits that big 41-yard scoring strike to Adil Bavati earlier. So here we go. Line is the 49. It's a 1st and 19. Hernandez gets around Ledbetter, dancing, trying to get to Pelayo. Steech had him in his grasp, but he broke out of there and got down to the 35-yard line.
Boy, what a great run there. I mean, he was dead in the sights of the Bears, and he just made something out of nothing.
They really like Nate Hernandez at King, just a junior. Kind of played on both sides of the ball last season, but was banged up for the first couple of games. And they believe he'll be a big part of this offense going forth. Market just inside the 40. Need to get to the 30 for a first down. Here's the give to Bavati. Runs right through Gilbo, and it'll be right near the marker. Did he get it? So he'll be just short of the first down. But Bavati goes over 100 yards with that carry unofficially. So a 3rd and 1 coming up would be a huge stop if Poly can stand up here. Third and 1, wide split on the right side. From that pistol, they'll run right. First down, Bavati, and he'll drag tacklers right down to about the 15-yard line.
Bavati looks gassed. He's tired. He's been carrying.
So 13 yards on the play, give him 12 carries for 120 yards. Adil Bavati averaging 10 yards a pop.
He's going to wake up tomorrow a little sore, I think. I hope mom and dad make him a nice breakfast.
Between Bavati and Jermaine Henderson, the spirit of Ken Batdorf, very live and well tonight. Throw Camden Carbon in there as well.
Maybe some Ken Batdorf rubbed off on old Coach McCarthy.
From the 17, yeah, he was on the staff with him, and now Bavati, as you mentioned, well, he's feeling a little bit here.
Yeah, he was tired. I saw him. He was turning green.
I remember last year, the first game we did with Arlington with Jamon McGlory, kind of between carries, he'd be down to his knee a lot. And I asked Chris Lunsford after the game if he was banged up. He's like, no, but, he knows he's going to carry the ball 40 times a game. So he's picking up rest wherever he can get it.
These running backs need to reach out to Norte Vista or one of the Malesio brothers. Those guys carry the ball every single time.
Line is the 17 of Poly, 1st and 10 King. We're knotted at 17. Reagan to throw. Looking down for Rana. One-on-one with Hooks. Good play. Doran Hooks knocks the ball away. Incomplete. Bring up 2nd down.
Good defense by Hooks. That could have been game over right there. I have a funny story about Coach McCarthy.
Okay.
Our first year, you and I, that was 3 years ago. He was coaching over at Norte Vista. And the 2 games we covered Novi, Coach McCarthy would give me the scout plans a couple days before, but he would always threaten me with an inch of my life if anybody ever got it. So I would bring my notes to the game with you, and it was Coach McCarthy's notes.
What is the saying? 2 men may keep a secret if one of them is dead. Is that what it is? Looks like Jasker and Rana took a little bit of a spill after that play in the corner. Hope he's okay. We'll get a break in the action here. 3:35 to play 4th quarter. 17-17 King and Poly. Thanks for joining us. Been a good one. I'm Ghazal Hassan. He's Jeff Gorham. Back in the truck is our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew. Common history between King and Poly. We mentioned the schools opened 100 years apart, but they were both in the Ivy League, the old Ivy League, from 2004 to 07. And then they were in the Big 8 between 08 and 2011, and then Poly left to join the Inland Valley League in 2012. Here's a trivia question for you, Jeff Gorham. You probably know this one.
Let's do it.
When King started playing CIF football, what league did they begin in? And there's a reason I'm asking you this.
I want to say the Sunkist?
Bing, bing, bing.
Hey, look at that.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I figured with Batdorf because at the time, Norte Vista was in the Sunkist.
That is right.
They were in the same league with Norte Vista.
I remember those days.
And I realized, so King opened, we look here, our schedule coming up next week. We'll have Notre Dame at Aquinas. That'll be interesting. Then your buddy, Ken Batdorf, will be back at Novi, Zach Erp Stadium. I'm looking forward to that La Sierra matchup. Gary Hedlund doing some good things over there at La Sierra.
Yeah, they got a win last night, a come-from-behind win over Bloomington.
We'll see Poly again against Orange Vista. We'll see King again against Santiago. Patriot and Novi, that'll be a tough one. How about that?
Yeah, Patriot with a victory last night. I'll tell you, the River Valley League is pretty wide open, except for, I'll tell you, my dark horse right now, after seeing them play, is my Ramona Rams.
Talking with Bill Powell and John Rice, who are on the Poly staff. They're in the booth next to us. We're not trying to have any bias against King. I'm a big fan of Coach McCarthy and his staff. But they were really complimentary of Coach Mashinsky. As we look at some highlights, here's the play. Oh, it looks like he kind of fell wrong. He landed wrong on that leg there, and he's hurting.
Yeah.
Rana will leave the field, limping a little bit, get some help. But they were really effusive in their praise of how Ken Mashinsky's been running that program.
You know, and it was the same thing that you and I had said. Coach Mashinsky's team played so hard last night. They were so focused. From minute one to the end of the game, they were focused and did everything correctly. But the biggest thing is they played so hard.
When you play hard, it allows you to play through mistakes. That's what we were talking about.
And if you can stay focused for 2.5, 3 hours, you have something special.
I mean, I didn't think there were many mistakes, but talking to Coach Mashinsky after the game, he was saying, we made a bunch of mistakes.
Coach speak.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a coach. Of course he's going to say that. But, he was happy, obviously. He enjoyed the win. Great conversation with you after the game. The excitement definitely came through, Jeff.
Yeah, it was fun. I was here at Ramona all day yesterday. I spoke to the student athletes, went to the pep rally, spent some time with Coach Mashinsky, and Coach Tony Macy came out and hung out with me for part of the day. It was one of the better days I've had as a grown man.
2nd and 10 for King from the 17. Reagan to throw. And intended receiver is Hernandez. In on the coverage for Poly is Josiah Harrison. And the coaches were really talking him up that he's been in the program for 4 years. He's just been a little bit banged up. This is his first opportunity to really play. And they've been impressed with what they've gotten from him, and it's 3rd down. I mean, this is a tremendous atmosphere. You got the cheerleaders on both sides. You got the stands full on both sides. Rivalry game, 2 local teams.
This is a huge stadium. It's pretty packed.
3rd and 10 for King from the 17. Here comes pressure. Pelayo in pursuit of Reagan. Reagan gets around to the outside, and he'll be bumped out of bounds by Rubin. He'll get inside the 10, close to the stick. It'll be 4th down, though.
Look at Reagan, though. Reagan nearly gets sacked. Would have been well out of range of field goal range, and he made something out of nothing there. Just short on 4th down.
4th and 1, ball is at the 8. Here's the play. With 3:25 left, if you're Pat McCarthy, you take the points here?
I would have to say yes.
They're just going to give the ball to Bavati. Timeout, King. They're going to talk it over. I have a feeling you give the ball to your senior, let him win it. You're saying no, Jeff?
I just go for the points. Points have come too few and far between.
We saw earlier tonight, Chris Anklem put through a 35-yarder. This from the 8-yard line would be about a 25-yarder, so you got the 3 points in your pocket. I think his concern is 3:25 left on the board. That's plenty of time for Poly to put up a score. If you don't make it, if you go 4th and 1 and don't make it, Poly has to traverse 93 yards the other way.
Yeah, and the toughest thing for me is you get the points, you have a good kicker, you kick it as far as you can, and you make Poly run the entire field.
I mean, you hang the hat on your defense, and
yeah.
you can get a turn. I mean, if you go for 4th and 1 and don't get it, Poly starts from the 8-yard line. And you could still conceivably get points out of the field position with a turnover or a 3-and-out.
Looks like they're going the school of Rich Lunsford, our guy over at Rev, who had the biggest win of the year last night versus Heritage.
I was so happy for Coach.
I talked to him last night.
4th and 1, line is the 8. Bavati. He's stopped. A lot of happy Bears here at Ramona High, Jeff Gorham.
Oh, I'll tell you what, the porridge was too cold on that one.
Bavati had been so good all night, Jeff, and they just straight up stoned him.
You can't sleep in that bed. It was, what was it, if it was too soft? too cold?
Too hard, too soft, just right.
There you go.
Too hot, too cold, just right. Well, you had 3 choices. I applaud Pat McCarthy. I mean, you're 0-3. You're playing your rival. Roll the dice. Throw everything out there. And, hey, Poly made a play. You got to tip your cap to the Bears.
Great defensive stop. Momentum change right here. But the big fella is down.
Jalen Keaton is hurt.
Their outstanding defensive end.
First down, Poly. And that's just identity. If you're going to hang your hat on the defensive side, and Derek DeWitt runs the defense, and that's just a gut check right there, and they make the play as Keaton will limp off the field. And they already didn't have Warren Harden tonight playing down a man. Let's look at it again on the replay. Out of the pistol, straight to Bavati. He was pushed back. And Keaton and Pelayo were in on the midst of that play. So from the 8, it's 1st and 10, Poly. Some confusion, and now Poly needs to burn a timeout. So Bill Powell at the offensive controls for the Bears. What do you think's coming here? You know Coach Powell a little bit.
I think you just got to go to your guy. You got to go to Henderson. He's been awesome. You just got to say, hey, offensive line, you got to build this guy a hole. We're going to go house right, house left, and try to get something out of this. He's got breakaway speed. You just got to hope you can traverse. Whew. Darn near 90-plus yards.
92 yards to pay dirt for Poly. They have 2 timeouts remaining in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Their place kicker, Lauren Garthwaite, has already kicked a field goal from 23 yards earlier.
Get it in Garthwaite territory.
King at 4th and 1 from the 8-yard line declined to take the points and the field goal off the foot of Chris Anklem, decided to go for the win, and Poly's defense, to their credit, stepped up and stopped them. 1st and 10, Poly from the 8 in the shadow of their end zone. Over the middle, the slant is complete. Still going out to the 31-yard line, a 23-yard completion to Tony Avias Jr. Big 6'5" target makes the catch. Sixth completion in 11 attempts for Bud Burney. Avias had 1 reception already wiped away because of a penalty. First down, Poly. Burney to throw. Looking for Sandifer. Kaufman nearly jumped the route. The catch by Sandifer, maybe a yard.
Yeah, that was kind of a scary play there. He kind of telegraphed exactly where he was throwing.
Seven for 12 through the air is Burney for 78 yards. From the 31, it's 2nd and 9. Burney, pressure, and he'll be flung down. Good pursuit by Jason Cobbs, making the play for King. So their defense standing up, clock moving towards 2 minutes. Loss back to the 27, so a 4-yard loss on the sack. First down is to the 41 of Poly. So call it 3rd and 14. Henderson, the single back. 3-receiver set. Little circle right out of the backfield, and he couldn't catch it. Out there in the flat, in and out of the hands of Henderson. Kaufman combining with DeGennaro on the coverage, and it'll be 4th down. Decision time for Derek DeWitt here too, with 1:47 to play. They're going to opt to punt.
See, here's a high school rule that a lot of people don't understand or know. Preseason, the two coaches have to decide before the game whether or not they're going to play overtime.
Good point. Remember our friend Vinny Fazio said no.
Yes, that's right. Made me think about it. Once you hit league, though, it's all overtime. So I wonder what these two coaches decided pregame.
Kaufman stands at the King 44. Garthwaite, line drive punt, skips at about the 47 and gets by Kaufman, who picks it up at the 30. Reversing his field, gets by Griffiths. Kaufman turning on the Jets. Flags fly. He'll come in at the 47. That looks like Rubin is down at the 30. We'll sort out the flags. As it stands right now with 1:31 to play, it'll be 1st and 10 King from the King 44.
Yeah, this could be a big, big penalty if it goes against King.
King already has been penalized for 60 yards. They've been flagged 8 times. Poly, conversely, just 4 times for 20 yards. What did Tim Watley say? Here we go. Here's another look at it. So it looks like they put the ball back on the 25-yard line of King, and that's where King will start. Isaac Rubin, who's played well today, got the worst of a confrontation, but he's walking off under his own power. 17 apiece, 91 seconds remain in regulation. It's been a good one. Rivalry weekend. We had Ramona end a 15-year losing streak, a 9-game losing streak against Arlington here last night. Poly trying to effort an end to King's 3-game win streak against them here tonight. Last win for Poly against the Wolves was in 2014 on this field.
Let's get into nitty-gritty time here.
Jalen Keaton back in. That's encouraging to see. From the 25, King will work the pistol. Reagan to throw. Dancing. Looking downfield. Now he'll run. Directing traffic. Stark with a block. Tackle made on the play. Good play. Coming up and making the stop, Sammy Sanchez for Poly. Sticks move up, an 11-yard run for Reagan. 6th carry on the game for Reagan. He has 23 yards. Line is the 36, 1st and 10. Ryan split out to the near side. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Here's the throw. Intended receiver is Hernandez. On the coverage for Poly, Daquan Gilbo. Incomplete, 2nd and 10.
No timeouts for King. 2 for the Bears. I'm sure the Bears are going to sit on theirs.
So Derek DeWitt, I think the wise decision with his team pinned back, under 2 minutes to go, decided to play the field position game. We have the heavy metal ballad thing going on in the crowd on the far side. The lighters being displayed on the King side of the field. Getting a shot of that. Nice job by the crew. And our director, Scott Brochus. 2nd and 10 coming up from the 36 of King for the Wolves. Back to throw Reagan. Again, finds some space. He'll run it. Out of bounds, just short of the stick at the 45.
Poly did it once before. Let's see if this defense can keep him from getting a 1st down here. But it's all about big plays, trying to get within field goal distance or score.
Chris Anklem hit a 35-yarder earlier. Last time down from the 8-yard line, they passed up the 3 points, did Coach McCarthy and the Wolves. 52 seconds here. It's 3rd and 1 from the 45. Bavati the single back. Here's the throw from Reagan to the outside. Intercepted by Cooks. Extracurricular activity and flags come in. Donnybrook developing. Officials do a great job. The Poly coaches run out and separate the players. I was watching the ball. I didn't see how that began. But what a play by young Doran Hooks. Stepping up and making the pick. We'll look at it again. Just broke right on the ball, a little bit underthrown. Starks was the intended target. It's Poly football with 46 seconds to play.
Coach DeWitt was the first guy out there.
Well, we talked to Coach DeWitt, and he's a football lifer. Grew up in Pomona, attended Ganesha, played for the great Eddie Robinson for a year at Grambling before moving on to Ohio University. And he's been a coach for over 20 years as coach at the D1 level, or the collegiate level, and at the high school level. He also served a couple of fellowships in the NFL, offsetting personal fouls. And they'll reset the football. Spent some time with Jim Caldwell and the Indianapolis Colts and worked with Lovie Smith with the Chicago Bears as well as part of a coaching fellowship. Another look at the after. And then it's the retaliation that drew the second flag. And you're a coach. You always teach your kids that, right?
Yeah.
The instigator will never get it. It's always the retaliation that gets flagged.
Yeah, and in close games like this,
it's hard to walk away. I've been on both sides of it. It's, when somebody goes after your teammate, it's hard to walk away.
It really is, especially in football. I mean, football, it's a gladiator sport.
Yeah. When we sort everything out, it'll be Poly football. They'll have the ball in King territory. So with 46 seconds left, Doran Hooks picks it off. So they'll give it the spot of the interception. 1st and 10 from the Poly 43. 46 seconds to move 57 yards. Watch Sandifer, bottom of your screen. Here's the route to Sandifer. Incomplete. Hand fighting, and they were tossling for the football. It was Ronnie Kaufman on the coverage, up to the challenge. Incomplete, second down.
I think they both had possession of the ball.
At a certain point, they both did.
They did.
Another look. Play fake. Fade route. Kaufman one-on-one. And he had it. And then he dislodged it there. What a play by Kaufman.
Wow.
That's big. Ronnie Kaufman dispossessed Jerry Sandifer, who had reeled that one in.
I'll tell you what, that's might be one of the biggest plays in King history right there. Woo!
2nd and 10, line is the 43. 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Little trickeration. LaMontagne will throw the ball down the field. Complete to Henderson. Touchdown!
Wow.
57 yards on the trick play. Ethan LaMontagne takes the handoff, throws it down. Wow, they're going to say he's out of bounds at the 1. They're going to say the knee was down. Henderson with the reception. Gets right by Anderson. Wow, it looks like the replay looks like it's a touchdown.
Wow, I agree with you there.
Replay looks like it's a touchdown. In any event, 25 seconds to play. Timeout, Poly.
Timeout taken by the Bears.
Wow, that looked like a touchdown to me, Jeff. Now, if they may have said his body went out of bounds, or the ball went out of bounds.
Or he was stepped. Yeah, if he stepped before the ball crossed the plane, he might have put that.
If we can get another look at it, let's see. Because they're going to plate the ball at the 2. So here's the end of that play. Being chased down by Tristan McMurray, and he stepped out. That's what happened.
Out. That's a good call.
Good call by the official. How about that? The ball was over the plane, but he stepped out. You can watch that. The right foot goes out of bounds at about the 2. Very good call.
Very good call on both ends. Great offensive, a little trickery, but man alive. Wow.
Well, hey, I give credit to both coaches. Ball game right here, 1st and goal. Option, Birdie lost the football. Picked up by Hernandez. Oh, my.
Face mask.
Flag comes in on the play. Personal foul against King. That's the 10th penalty they've been flagged on tonight. And Poly keeps possession. You know what? Tell your buddy Bill Powell, get Lauren Garthwaite out there. Just a little kick it and end this one.
Those guys are gone. They ran down on the field.
So it looked like a turnover. The ball would go over to King, but a face mask penalty will keep the possession with the Bears. What a great one this has been. Here's another look, Jeff.
Definite face mask there.
$19 seconds left, 1st and goal. Half the distance, so the ball resting inside the 5. 2-back set. Sandifer, bottom of your screen. Henderson. Stop him at the 1-yard line. DeWitt does have a timeout left.
It's down to Garthwaite.
Clock running, and now they'll call timeout with 5 seconds to play. First down play, they let the clock run. And now they'll have a decision to make. 5 seconds to play, tied at 17. Poly efforting to end King's 3-game win streak in this series. Another look at that run by Jermaine Henderson. Oh, better angle of it. Bada bing, out of bounds. Chalk flew up, as John McEnroe would say. So 5 seconds to play. We're going to get the field goal team out. Lauren Garthwaite to win it for Poly. For the win. Pushed it. So now you mention it's a non-league game. So there's a decision to be made. I don't know if they agreed to it. Let's see what we got here. Just pushed it to the right. Remember last year in this similar situation, Ramona missed a late field goal. Norte Vista got flagged for running into the kicker. The second time through, the Rams were able to win.
I think she's going to get another look. I don't know if she's hurt enough, but I think she's going to get another shot.
Well, the penalty will give them another opportunity.
But she can't. She's been taken out of the game, so they have to bring in a sub. They have to.
So Jeff just pointed out that if Lauren Garthwaite has to leave the game for an injury, a different player needs to come in and kick, so it'll be Vandenberg on to try the field goal.
Garthwaite tried to come back in the ball game. Coach DeWitt grabbed her and says she's not allowed to come back in. But they're on the 1 yard line, on the 0 yard line.
Wow. Deja vu all over again. Here's the second chance for Poly. No time remaining on the clock after the personal foul for the win. We don't need to say anything. You can just read the reaction on the field. Regulation is over. We're tied at 17. How about those rivalry games, Jeff Gorham?
Wow. I couldn't say a word. I was just like every person in this stadium. And there's the kick, and it hits. Got a hands piece of the ball and piece of the uprights. Now here's the question. Did they decide to play OT? It looks like they did. No?
Joking about it earlier, last year or 2 years ago, remember Vinny Fazio, it was a non-league game somewhere out there. He had to drive, it was a road game, and it was a 7-7 tie, and they opted to just drive home.
or Sultana.
Was it Sultana?
I think, or Silverado. It was somewhere.
Silverado, maybe that was what it was. And that was, he had a bunch of guys hurt, and it was, he's like, listen, I'm not going to even mess with it. We'll leave that alone. But obviously a rivalry game. We had one of these a couple of years ago. It was a 38-35, or 44-38, something like that, 45-38 win by King back in 2015 that went to a couple of different overtimes. So just to recap, first quarter, opening drive, 9-yard run for Jermaine Henderson to make it 7-0, and then 10:26 of the second quarter for King. They got on the board a 50-yard fumble recovery returned by Dalen Kiles. 7-7 at the half, and then all the rest of the scoring happened in the second half. A field goal.
I want to say they're not going to go overtime.
So it's going to be a tie. 35-yard field goal at 4:03 of the third quarter made it 10-7 in favor of King. Then Garthwaite responded at 11:50 of the fourth quarter to tie it at 10. 41-yard pass from Reagan to Bavati at 9:37 of the fourth quarter made it a 17-10 King lead. Henderson with a 5-yard run at 6:34 of the fourth quarter made it 17-17, and that's where we stand right now. And if the teams decide not to play, it'll be a tie. It'll go in the books as a tie. Right now, Coach DeWitt and Coach McCarthy at midfield, talking with Tim Watt, who is our referee tonight. Thanks to all of you who've joined in. It's been a good one. Clock is still at 0, so not sure what the result has been. If we see the handshake line, we'll know they're going to accept the tie. DeWitt talking to his captains in front of the Poly bench, and now King gathering on their sideline. Captains walking out for Poly.
I think we might see some extra game here, Gazal.
Free football.
Either that or they're going to go out to center field and hug and then take a tie. Love all around here.
King looking for their first win since last September 22nd. Poly looking for their first win since November 3rd, which was the finale last year. They knocked off Canyon Springs 54-37. Schedule for King, they lost week 0, 28-21 versus Temescal Canyon, who's now 3-1. They're a D8 team. Great Oak on the road on August 24th. Great Oak obviously in D2. They're 1-3 on the season. And then last week they lost at home against Paloma Valley, who's 1-2 in Division 3. The two losses for Poly, 49-0 to Chaparral, a Division 4 team, 48-27 versus Bonita, a D10 team, but both Chaparral and Bonita undefeated. So the two losses to Poly come to teams with a combined record of 7-0. 13th game of the series between these two schools, mentioned it earlier, and King has won the last 3. So we got a coin toss. So we're going to have overtime.
We are.
So it's the college rule. As you start at the 25-yard line, and you have 4 downs to put a score up. Obviously, if you score a field goal, the other team scores a touchdown, you lose the game. If everybody continues to score, I think it is the 3rd overtime, you need to start going for 2. Now, if Rich Lunsford were here, he'd go for 2 the first time
Yes,
through.
he would.
He did it last year in a game that Jeff and I called when Arlington beat John W. North, and he did it in the opener, his first game at Rev. It was a 21-14 game. They scored the would-be tie touchdown. He went for 2 and he won it.
Yes,
How about that to welcome yourself to your new job? So King's going to receive. King will get the first possession. Running down some numbers for you real quick. Jermaine Henderson, unofficially, 32 carries, 181 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, both touchdowns for Poly. Bud Burney, 7 of 13 through the air, 78 yards. Patrick Reagan has only completed 1 pass, but it was a big one, a 41-yard touchdown to Adil Bavati. Bavati, 13 carries, 120 yards. Nate Hernandez, 6 carries, 34 yards. On the Poly side, Camden Carmen, 14 carries, 74 yards unofficially. Jerry Sandifer with 3 receptions for 30 yards. Tony Avalles with a big 23-yard reception for Poly as well. Thanks for those of you joining us. And Henderson, of course, had the big 53-yard catch and run. So let me update. Well, that was LeMontagne with the throw. So not a completion for Burney. Teams will start at the 25-yard line, have 4 plays to score. The old backyard days, Jeff, 4 to score. Remember those?
Yes, I do. Oh, somebody has to win this game.
And now someone will.
I honestly thought they were going to say, we're going to take the tie.
Thanks for those of you joining us. Thanks for those of you who stayed with us. Overtime here.
Little happy guy there, waving to the camera.
Kids are always good on camera, Jeff.
Yes, they are.
We got to bring Fast Johnny to one of the games. We'll have to just run around on the track down there.
Yeah,
he'll weave in and out of the cheerleaders.
I would bring all 3 of my kids. One would sit up here and try to figure out what we're doing in the booth. The other would run, and the other would just throw the ball all over the place.
First down, King. Poly 25. Rana to the top of the screen, far slot, Hernandez. Bottom of your screen is Ryan. They'll give to Bavati, gets through Ruben. Bavati on his feet. The football loses it. Ball still on the turf. Looks like King will retain possession at the 24-yard line. All the twists and turns we've had late in this ball game, Jeff. After all that, about a 1-yard gain on the play.
Yeah. Wow, we've seen some strange things tonight.
Second down from the 24 for King. Austin Stark, last year's starting quarterback. One of the 3 receivers to the near side. Hernandez, Kaufman, Stark. Ryan split out wide on the far side. Bavati, the setback. Delay on King. Eleventh penalty on the Wolves. Ball back to the 29. Play action, Reagan. Now he'll run with it, and he falls forward to about the 20. Well, I mean, it was a first guess for us. You thought they should just take the points. I said, you know what, go for it. And again, probably one of the first times as a coach, you were right, Coach.
Hey, that is.
I mean, you were right. Kick the ball, get the points. Third down coming up for King. Kaufman to motion. 3 receivers up top. Near side, it's Rana. Reagan to throw. Right up the middle, pressure thrown to the outside. Incomplete, intended receiver at about the 15-yard line was Adil Bavati. 4th down.
Great blitz play there by Poly. With the QB there on his heels. And nothing there for him to throw to.
Oh, he must have caught it. He caught the football. That's interesting because they moved the ball to the 22. Here's the field goal attempt. This will be about a 39-yarder. A 35-yarder earlier for Chris Anklin. Let's see if he can put this one through. Tied at 17. Does it have the distance? It does not. It's short. It'll be Poly football. They'll have an opportunity to run 4 downs. And if they score, it's a walk-off.
It's a walk-off with about 5,000 plus people here.
There's been one, this is a little baseball trivia for you in between. There's been one walk-off inside the park grand slam in the history of the Astrodome. But do you know who hit it? I'll give you a hint. You won't find it on Baseball Reference.
It's probably from a movie.
Carmen Ronzani. Bad News Bears against the Texas Toros. Try that at a cocktail party. That'll get. Try that when you see Percival next. 1st and 10 from the 25. We're tied at 17. Overtime here at Ramona High School. Henderson. Parrott was the first man to him, thrown for a 3-yard loss. Henderson now 33 carries, 178 yards, and those 2 touchdowns. So we've seen 3 missed field goals over about the last, well, literally the last, I think, 5 seconds of game time because the clocks are off now that we're in overtime. 2nd down, Bernie to throw. Sandifer wrapped up at the 25. Kaufman right there with him. So Bernie now 8 of 13 through the air for 80 yards. Sandifer, his 4th reception, has 32 yards on the evening. 3rd down from the 25, 1st down to the 15. Poly stopped King earlier on the missed field goal. Henderson up the gut. Henderson. Touchdown. Poly wins. Henderson takes the handoff and goes 25 yards. And Poly, for the first time since 2014, knocks off King. Shades of DeAndre Hale in 2014. That was a 23-20 game. This is 23-17. Poly with the win. They have their first win on the season. They go to 1-2. King drops to 0-4. And a huge win for the Bears in this rivalry series. We'll look at it one more time. First touchdown of the game for Henderson. Bernie has the fumble by Sandifer. Picked up by Kyles, will bring it the other way. But the story tonight is Henderson with 3 touchdowns, the last one coming in overtime, to give Poly the win, 23-17 over the Wolves of King. What do we say about rivalry games? You just throw those records out the window.
You do, because you never know what kind of game you're going to get. We saw a game tonight where a couple of great offensive runs that didn't score touchdowns. It was knotted up for most of the entire game, and then a couple big plays here and there, and then we saw OT. Wow, what a fun game to watch, especially in that last quarter. But Jermaine Henderson, all the way. Give him a lot of credit. Give a lot of credit to Coach DeWitt, Coach Powell, Coach Rice, the entire Poly staff and players, as they have won the Blade.
Bears playing without their best defensive player, Warren Harden, make some big plays on the defensive side and come up with the win. Henderson, 203 yards on 25 carries and the 3 touchdowns. He's easily the player of the game. 8 of 14 through the air for Bud Burney, 80 yards through the air. And Camden Carmen played a nice complimentary role. 14 carries for him, 74 yards. Jerry Sandifer, 4 receptions for 32 yards on the Poly side. On the King side, Adil Bavadi, 14 carries, 121 yards, along with a 41-yard touchdown reception. Nate Hernandez chipped in with 6 carries for 34 yards, and the 41-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Reagan to Adil Bavadi, and the 50-yard fumble return for a touchdown by Dalen Kyles. So what a game tonight. Back and forth, and finally in the end, Poly has a chance to win it in regulation and can't, and they come through in overtime. And what a big win for the Bears tonight. Obviously in the context of the rivalry, but to kind of get themselves going forth in this schedule, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they've taken a couple losses here that really could have really turned them backwards. But this win tonight versus the King Wolves could really promote this season, and they could turn it around just because of this victory.
And back next week on this field, it'll be Poly and Ramona. It's a big matchup for Ken Mashinsky. And if you're Derek DeWitt, you want to take this win and kind of build the momentum going forth next week against the Rams.
I'll tell you what, and that Rams rivalry goes back even further, a lot further than this Martin Luther King team and this game. I'm telling you, all of Riverside will be out to see that one. And we saw Ramona. Ramona is back. And we're going to see a good Poly team battle a much improved Ramona team. I'll tell you what, that'll be a great game.
What do you tell your team if you're Pat McCarthy, Jeff?
You just got to say, guys, we've been in games. We've got to figure out a way to curb the mistakes. We can't make silly mistakes that cost us ball games. You got to play smart. You got to play with poise, but you got to play eager to score the football, and they're just not scoring the football.
And in fairness to King, now they made a conscious decision to go with some younger guys.
They did.
And I think sometimes, you can't really simulate game speed. It's a big thing. And I think once King gets a little more experience under their belts, once they get into that Big 8 league, they'll be a little more confident and a little bit better. But, man, the Big 8's a gauntlet, Jeff.
Oh, it's possibly the best football league maybe in the state of California, maybe in the country. You talk about the teams, look who's playing well. Roosevelt, Centennial, Norco, Corona, Santiago. Those teams are brutal. And I'll tell you what, it can really hurt your confidence or it can help it with a win in one of those league games.
It was a fun one tonight, 23-17, the final. Poly in overtime, courtesy of Jermaine Henderson. For Jeff Gorham and our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew, my name is Ghazal Hassan. Thanks for joining us on this rivalry weekend, the Friday-Saturday doubleheader. Final score tonight, Poly 23, King 17. We'll talk to you next week from Aquinas. So long, everybody.